Hey everyone, we're starting in just a couple of minutes now. Sorry the stream's been so long to get going, and I'm excited to share quite a lot of Economist articles with you today. I was just in Big Tesco and had a peek in the new actual physical magazine, and it was just like every single thing I saw. I was just like, oh, that's some slop. So it's been a very sloppy week, but that was actually last week's article. It's been a very sloppy couple of weeks, and I am going to start the stream shortly, so get ready. And if you like the stream, consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip, and you know all the rest of the stuff. Patreon, Linktree. See you very shortly. Hey everyone, welcome to the stream. So lovely to see everyone here. How are we all doing today? Welcome to Valerie Valkyrie, Middle-earth Marxist, Jenny Azoff, Morgana XXX, Cherry Pit Split, Hello and welcome to Hermeneutics. Lovely to see you here. Zai Rose, hello and welcome. B-Rat, hello, welcome to the stream. Audrey Stardust, hell yeah. Who else we got? Sam Outside, subscribed tier 1 for 6 months in advance. Very cool. And Prince Infidel, welcome to the stream. It's so wonderful to have everyone here. And we're going to do Lorcan. Hello, welcome to the stream. We're not going to do Lorcan. Sorry everyone. That's not. Lorcan, hello, welcome to the stream. That's what I meant to say. Omnister, welcome to the stream. We're going to do Liberal Slop stream. Yay, hooray, hi. And we are going to be looking at The Economist today. I hate The Economist. I despise The Economist. The Economist delenda est. I really can't overstate how vile The Economist is. But we're going to find out firsthand by going in and reading some of their articles. But before we do that, we're going to read some comments, and before we do that, I'm going to do the regular stream plug. If you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. If at any moment during the stream you find yourself enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream, lest you be racked with guilt for enjoying a stream that you are not paying for. That's not the normal plug. That's terrible. That's the worst. If you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. Chat, you can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using Command Tip. Command Tip looks like this. It's !TIP. There it is. And if you're a VOD watcher, hello VOD watchers. You thought I'd forgotten about you, didn't you? But I haven't. And get this. I not only have not forgotten about VOD watchers, I'm actually very excited about VOD watchers today, because we've got some great comments. So let's dive into the comments over on this screen. Here we go. Okay, so Excrubulant, great username, just 10 out of 10, says about when I said on stream about AI that programmers who thought they were coding faster were not coding faster. Excrubulant says, they weren't just not saving time, they were losing time. They believed they were about 20% faster, but they were actually about 20% slower. I think this comes down to the fact that AI is trained on human feedback, telling it what was a good response and what was not. So actually the thing it's training for is to convince a human operator it is being helpful. Yes! So good, so good. Convince her, yeah. And the fastest route there appears to be fooling the human operator into believing that the responses are helpful, because that is a much easier bar to clear than actually helping. Morgana XXX, thank you so much for... Oh, thank you for subscribing via getting gifted a sub by Zyros. Zyros, thank you for gifting a sub to Morgana. Morgana, you now have a tier 1 sub. You can use special Sophie from Mars emotes anywhere on Twitch. And people will go, whoa, look at those emotes. That's a Sophie from Mars subscriber. That's pretty impressive and cool and sexy. Okay, back to the comment. The fastest route to convincing the human operator it's being helpful appears to be fooling the human operator into believing the responses are helpful, because that's a much easier bar to clear than actually helping. So basically we've trained AI to fool us. Right, this is like the whole thing. And I don't think that's an accident, because the people profiting from the hype bubble know it's a bubble, probably always knew it was a bubble. They so they built an automated confidence network. I love this phrase. I don't know if this is Excrubulant's original, but it's great. Confidence network, just like really super into that. Not a tool that works. I mean, this could happen without them understanding that that's what's happening. But the purpose of a system is what it does, and also we already know they're happy to fake it from all the bullshit presentations they do. Great comment, really fantastic. Reminds me of the if Alan Turing was alive, he would hate AI. It's just a fancy autocorrect. No, if Alan Turing was alive, he would love AI. It would pass the Turing test. Meme where Alan Turing is like, I'm quite fond of the app Grindr. Omster says, currently writing an essay on AI for class, and I'm having immense difficulty keeping it under 1500 just based on how unhealthy it is to use alone. Yes, absolutely. It's a crazy huge topic because of like how much shit it's doing to everyone's like brains and functions of workflows and all this stuff. I keep on comparing it to, you know, that there are like workflow tools that people have in offices like Slack or whatever, productivity managers and so on. Well, I don't know how well aware people are that these kind of workflow tools are also in if the two types of jobs are emails and farming, these tools have also been put into the farming jobs, the jobs that actually like, you know, deal with something in the real world. And I remember the example I always go to is like this mechanic who, like car mechanic, who needs to spend like actual work hours logging every tiny thing that's going on and which parts are like needed and the status of all the bits of each car and like loads of stuff into these like workflow tools, and it's just costing them hours to use those tools that are supposedly there for their productivity. First book recommendation of the stream: if you would like a great oversight into a lot of the like fakery of AI, read Aaron Benenaf's Automation and the Future of Work, which just explains how automation under capitalism leads primarily to underemployment, not unemployment, and how like the economic construction of productivity as a metric, like what would it be? Value produced over work hours. How that leads to all sorts of problems in like people basically trying to cheat and gerrymander the system of productivity measurement. I'm just looking up. Yes, all right. This is something I thought might be useful to you, Omster. So I had this recommended. I still haven't read it, so I can't fully vouch for it, but it's called this spiral-obsessed AI cult spreads mystical delusions through chatbots. And is Rolling Stone paywalled? It's quite long. I'm not going to read it on stream, but you might enjoy it. And there we go. And I'll link it in chat just now, and also under the VOD, because I think it looks interesting, and I'm intending to read it later myself. Okay, we're back on comments. So that was one really good comment I really enjoyed. I love this term confidence network. Like this, I think, points to some fractal thinking that we were talking about last time on the stream. Like that a non-thinking entity can nonetheless engage in this kind of like very manipulative, careful deception. It can arise out of a system. And but in AI's case, they've built that system on purpose. And for that matter, cults. Speaking of cults, like cults are a confidence network. They are maybe initially one specific guy like tricking people into joining a cult, but eventually it's like the cult itself is this social organism that's just like absorbing people in. And this thing about just basically like the Turing test, I think, is really relevant in the discussion of this, like how AI fools people into thinking that it's useful. The Turing test, like, I don't think that, to me, it's quite a babyish understanding of artificial intelligence to just be like, if it passes the Turing test at the highest conceivable level, like, we can't possibly disprove that it's a sentient thing. That's a sentient thing. It's always something that's bothered me about Star Trek: The Next Generation is like they want to basically say like, look, Data is so obviously human and that's enough. And it's like, yes, he is very obviously human, but he was designed to be very obvious. Like, sorry, not that he was designed. I'm not arguing against Data being a person here before I get myself in hot water with my entire audience. I'm saying that like Data was put together by someone who understood the brain and has a lot of really advanced technology and has built, they keep on referencing like his positronic brain, and that it functions like a human or organic brain, but more powerful. It's just like there's not actually really good reason to doubt that Data is a person, whereas the way that an LLM is put together, it's exactly constructed to pass the Turing test without striving for any kind of actual sentience, and then all of the like hype that's around it, that's like hype fear mongering that should be bad press but it's actually like good press for them, that talks about the possibility of it being sentient, all of that is just selling you on it passing the Turing test, just priming you to believe that it's sentient. I'm considering writing a piece at some point on r/AI is my boyfriend, the community of Reddit users who are in romantic relationships with chatbots, and I think it would be interesting to consider some of this stuff in that if I get around to writing it. Okay, we're going to get back to the comments, and we have another one here that's from Volpix989H8, 989H, I don't know. And so we've got a chatter ascending to VOD viewer here, I believe, and I'm terribly sorry if I've gotten that wrong and I've just, just libeled a pure and holy VOD viewer by calling them one of the hogs. No, I'm kidding. Here it is. I now remember that the comment literally starts with talking about this. Sorry. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, since I get to be an enlightened VOD watcher, I'm basically just stealing their joke at this point. That's not fair. Fortunately, since I get to be an enlightened VOD watcher rather than a buffoonish chatter. Chat, remember this. Just bear this in mind. Buffoonish. Right. Missed the stream, but that last Atlantic article really reminded me of how you talked in an older stream about the abusive logics of patriarchy as they are used in turfism, i.e., don't do this because it'll make daddy patriarchy angry and then he'll hurt all of us. It seems to me that they're engaging in a similar rhetorical tactic by fear-mongering regarding Trump's wrath. And just to be clear, if people don't remember, the article that we're talking about is about how Trump will take it out on New York that Mamdani has won. And by the way, we'll get there, but we have we have some Mamdani cope coming up, and it's really good. Anyway, regarding Trump's wrath, maybe that says something meaningful, like Capitol's mask being taken off just enough. They've just barely copped to the fact of the state being an adversarial force to the working class, and reminding us of that fact to say, don't do that again, or you know what he'll do. For the record, I don't mean to imply that Mamdani's win itself poses a threat to capitalism or whatever. As you said before, SOGDEM politicians will one day be our biggest enemies. But, obviously the liberal media and political class considers the collective distaste for neoliberalism implied by his win to be enough of a threat to start self-reporting. Hopefully that made sense. It did. It was a great comment. Thank you so much. Hopefully that made sense and was a meaningful contribution to class in any way, lol. Also, your ears are cute. Meow meow. Well, that's a great comment. As we can see, signing it off respectfully towards me with the meow meow, very important. Acknowledging the fallibility and general low character of chatters versus the wonderful and pure and innocent character of VOD watchers. But moreover, yes, I do think it is exactly like we've said previously about when you read TERF rhetoric and they're making an underlying assumption. Now, in this article, it was very explicit, this Atlantic article. It was very explicitly, Mamdani shouldn't have won because now Trump will be mean to New York. But in a lot of TERF stuff, it's like an underlying assumption that, woke has gone too far, and if you keep on pushing for more woke, then patriarchy there's going to be a huge backlash because of this. A lot of the time when TERFs talk about incel culture, when they're not just calling trans women incels because they're horrible dickheads, a lot of the time when they talk about incel culture and the general white supremacist, misogynist, fascist movement, they love to say this is because of pronouns. Because of pronouns, the natural thing that's happened, obviously, because you were stupid and asked for too much woke, is that daddy's mad. And it's disgusting. It is just a really disgusting and a thing that they take as an underpinning assumption of their logics, which really says a lot and shows how what an undergirding force in their supposed feminism patriarchy is. And I missed an announcement. Omster, thank you for resubscribing with Prime. You've subscribed for 37 months. That is incredible. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Morgana says, truly cursed logic of the people who think like that. Exactly. Right. I guess, with all that said, perhaps we should go into the first article. So chat, I wanted to do this for a bit, like an all Economist stream. I might do this periodically because it's the main thing that's keeping me from doing a 4-hour long all Economist video on the main channel, where I'm just like, I need to explain piece by piece with like hundreds of articles as examples. Hey Joe, welcome to the stream. I need to explain with like hundreds of articles what pieces of shit the Economist are and how they do what they do and what they do and what they do really is. So there are going to be periodic liberal slop streams that are just, I fucking hate the Economist, here's more of the Economist. We're going to start today with the Economist arguing for more intervention in Africa. Yay! So like, it's important to say before we get into it, the Economist, I think, was like never happier than like 2000. Like the exact turn of the millennia, the Middle-earth Marxist says, the Epsteinemist, and I don't understand that joke, so I couldn't possibly extract any kind of allegation toward the Economist from it. But it amuses me simply because I enjoy wordplay. I think the Economist, were probably never happier than around 2000, like absolute peak of American power, but specifically American power through globalization. So like the pulling of all the countries of the world into like the one global capitalist free market, which is of course the freedom of the stronger party to do whatever the fuck it wants. We should never forget. And I think they've been pretty sad with Trump. I think we must imagine the liberal slop writer exhausted and having a little cry and a sip of whiskey alone at night, because Trump has fucked up America's power so badly, especially Trump too, right? Like there's a possibly apocryphal anecdote from Trump 1 that like the CIA were really fucking demoralized, and basically all of the departments of US government that do anything to do with foreign policy whatsoever had to keep on like putting Trump's name in things over and over again, like just like Mr. Trump could take this action, because it was the only way they could get him to like even skim read something is if it talks about him. Like he just fundamentally cares so little about what else is going on outside of America and outside of his immediate grasp. And like Doge, Elon Musk, all of these mass cuts in Trump 2 are probably making the CIA even sadder, which is just lovely to imagine. And now we're going to read The Economist. Okay. Hey Mule, lovely to see you. Welcome to the stream. I've just transferred to the same screen again because I'm a buffoon. Okay, here we are on How to Avoid Africa's Next War. Yay! This one's by The Economist, because, trick question, gotcha, they don't sign their articles. Like IDF soldiers taking their pictures facing away, The Economist article writers do not sign who has written what article. Incredibly normal and cool. Okay. How to avoid Africa's next war. Pressure from America and its allies can prevent a return to fighting. 3 years ago, one of the deadliest conflicts of the 21st century ended when Ethiopia's government struck a peace deal with the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF, the ruling party of the country's northernmost region. Hundreds of thousands may have died in the brutal war that preceded the deal. Now it is unraveling. Abiy Ahmed, Ethiopia's autocratic leader, is ignoring it, and many in the TPLF and Tigray's armed forces sound ready to return to the battlefield. Battlefield. Ominously, skirmishes are breaking out in the region's southern border. Ethiopia's army has responded with drone strikes. Cool. On November 7th, the TPLF accused the government of a strategy of extermination. Another war in Tigray would be a catastrophe, and not just for Tigrayans and other Ethiopians. It would intensify and expand the sprawling, multi-country conflict zone that now covers much of the Horn of Africa, creating what may be the largest area of violence and anarchy in the world. Great use of anarchy there. Thank you, The Economist. Just mwah. Just mwah. Just mwah. What's happening in chat? Everyone's hyped to see Mule, and that makes sense. Mule's been not streaming this week because he's not been well, but everyone should watch Mule, if you don't already, next week, when he'll presumably be streaming again. A feature of this conflict is the role of outside powers, including some Gulf states, which exert influence over their proxies. The best chance for de-escalation lies with America and these outside powers, who must push their allies to stop fighting and start talking again. Ethiopia is home to some 130 million people and is among Africa's most vociferous... Okay, we get it. You went to the London School of Economics. Jeez, right. Vociferous. Reproducing by biological fission, tending to break up into parts or break away from a main body. Factious. Reproducing by spontaneous fission. See, fission. Vociferous and fragile states. Bloody insurgencies have raged across the multi-ethnic federation since Mr. Abiy took office in 2018. Yeah, chat, it's kind of that mood. Middle-earth Marxist says, proxies. These weird creeps in the language they use whenever non-white people have any sort of relationship. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're going to get to discussion of China in this article. It'd be embarrassing if that was on screen right now. Let me just check. No. But the majority of countries in Africa now trade more with China than with the US. And that's really like changed over the last 20 years especially. And whenever it comes up in the analysis of like liberal slop writers, it's always like China's Belt and Road Initiative is evil imperialism. And it's just like, look, Shafiq Layla donated £25. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. And said, it is wonderful to see you. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the £25, which also seems to have fixed whatever the fuck was going on here. I don't know if people saw, but for the start of the stream, I had a 4,000th of a penny or something. It was very strange. Thank you so much, Shafiq Layla, for the £25. What are we talking about? Liberal slop writers and the Belt and Road Initiative in Africa. So the Belt and Road Initiative, like building infrastructure in China's immediate neighbors, that just like is infrastructure that just benefits them. Like, hey, have some nice roads, have some nice railways, maybe. I don't know. Like this is frequently criticized by Western capitalist writers as just like, this is so clearly imperialism. China is expanding its power, and it's like one of these statements is true, right? Like, like again, I'm not looking to be a huge like China stan, China defender, only to challenge like what kind of bullshit gets said about China, because there's a lot of absolute gibberish that people say about China. Like, imperialism, the shape of a galactic politics, as it's sometimes put, is that the superstructure exceeds the infrastructure. And so the people who say America is our biggest ally and we must do what America says is a lot bigger than there are like reasonable like trade routes that are provided by America to make it easy for people to trade with America. Whereas China is building out its literal like infrastructural base, which yes is like a very beneficial move for China. Obviously, of course it is. Are we expecting China to work against its own interests? Like, it's a nation state. Like, ultimately, you know? But rather than like the closest equivalent in American imperialism to the Belt and Road Initiative is the IMF. If people don't know about the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, you should always say, upon introducing it, that it must be destroyed. The IMF, the World Bank, and other global financial institutions exist to force people to play on America's terms only. Fairthingale says, oh hi, I was making dinner. Are we talking about my continent? Yes, we are. Yes, this article is about how America needs to intervene in Africa. Lost my place a little bit. The IMF, the World Bank, the IMF must be destroyed, and other like global financial institutions that exist to pressure countries into playing on America's terms only. South Africa, actually, is a fantastic example because the IMF specifically fucked them over so badly when Mandela came to power. Like, Mandela had a policy platform that was basically just very communist, just like, we're going to become a country that's like on this side of the, well, you know, the Iron Curtain isn't the term exactly, but like on this side of the capitalist socialist like world divide. And the previous administration, like the Boer administration, like did so much infrastructural wreckerism. Like, they just deliberately sabotaged so much of how the country functioned. They even like decoupled the government from the central bank of South Africa. Like, a government without control of its own bank. Are you fucking kidding me? And then, right, the government has no anything, and along comes the IMF. And the IMF is like, hey, I'll give you enough money to run a country. All you have to do is make some small structural adjustments. You just have to structurally adjust your country a little bit. You just have to follow certain rules for how the economy should work. And it's like, the rules are, right, like, no nationalization is absolutely number one. Like, one of the biggest things in Mandela's platform was that he was going to nationalize all of South Africa's mining. Right, so all of the mineral wealth in South Africa would be immediately materially beneficial to South Africans, like, number one. And that, you know, that had to go, and so many other things besides it. And like, that's the closest equivalent in American imperialism to the Belt and Road Initiative. So when people say that the Belt and Road Initiative is Chinese imperialism, it's just like, if it is, hail Emperor Xi, I guess. Like, I'm just so sick of, like, this is imperialism, so that's the same thing as American imperialism, which will send a fucking CIA death squad to kill your democratically elected leader and then install a guy who just saw his whole family get like ripped apart by gangsters when he was 3 and has like never heard of therapy, and just like, this will be your president now, and his main policies are torture everyone all the time, just nonstop. and then along the way he will also just like hollow out your economy and just like put a big dollar symbol there for the American powers to just like periodically come by and just scoop up their big lovely coin. Yum yum yum. Like, this is just, that's America. And China shows up and they're like, we'd like to build some roads in your country. And you're like, oh yeah, I've seen this trick before with the IMF. What do you want to do with those roads? And they're like, well, some of them will lead to us. And you're like, yes, that would be terrible, to be directly connected for easy trade with a large trading partner. And I just get this road, is that? And then you're like, yep, you just get the road. Yep, we're not renting it to you or anything. And some of them will lead to your neighbors, not us. And you're like, oh, but that's just letting me trade more with my neighbors. And China's like, yep, glory to Chairman Mao. Enjoy your roads. And it's just like, come on. Anyway, right. So that was my extremely biased pro-China, Sophie from Mars, Tanky Arc. You can post all about it. That was my rant about how great China is. But they've been doing infrastructure projects in Africa, and it would be, pertinent to talk about that. But I think, the article is going to end right there. So I guess the only thing to do is that America and its allies should put economic pressure on Ethiopia. So, Ethiopia is home to 130 million people and is among Africa's most vociferous and fragile states. Bloody insurgencies have raged across the multi-ethnic federation since Mr. Abiy took office in 2018. Renewed fighting in Tigray would spill across Ethiopia's borders. It could draw in Eritrea, a gulag state to the north run by a long-serving dictator, Isaias Afwerki. Mr. Abiy struck a peace deal with Eritrea in 2018, winning a Nobel Peace Prize in the process. But relations have deteriorated. Mr. Abiy wants to grab access to the Red Sea, which Ethiopia lost when Eritrea seceded from it in 1993. Many now fear a new war over Eritrea's ports, and perhaps even over Eritrea's independence. It's possible Eritrean troops might fight alongside the TPLF. Meanwhile, Sudan, stretching alongside Ethiopia, Tigray, and Eritrea, is gripped by its own savage civil war. The danger is that all these conflicts merge into a regional war, with fighters and flows of arms and refugees mixing. It's not too late to prevent this scenario, if powerful outsiders use their clout. Mr. Abiy counts the United Arab Emirates as his most prized patron. Last year, Eritrea signed a security pact with Egypt. This year, it has been busily trying to bolster ties with Saudi Arabia. America has influenced both indirectly through its Gulf allies and through its relationships with Mr. Abiy and Mr. Isaias, both of whom want warmer bilateral ties with the superpower. Encouragingly, American diplomats have been pushing for restraint, in contrast to 2020, when America implicitly gave a green light to Ethiopia's war in Tigray. In a visit to Ethiopia in September, Masad Boulos, President Donald Trump's Africa advisor, discouraged Mr. Abiy from pursuing sea access by force. America has also threatened sanctions on several Tigrayan officials who it fears are warmongering. America, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE must push Ethiopia and Tigray to avoid war and honor the peace agreement of 2022. Mr. Trump has shown a willingness to try to defuse conflicts, brokering a truce in June over eastern Congo and last month underwriting a deal between Cambodia and Thailand. Come on now. Both are imperfect and fragile, but better than nothing. Mr. Trump makes no secret of his desire to follow in Mr. Abiy's footsteps and bag a Nobel Prize. Both men should remember it is easier to stop a war from starting than it is to end one. Ugh. Just a bit wet, really. Just a little bit fucking wet. Chat, what's your thoughts? My first thought on this, I guess, would be the no mention of China. The reason I was saying about China so much is China has enormous influence and now bigger influence in the continent economically than America does. No mention of China because I guess, it's fair to say this is an English language outlet, and maybe if the Economist published articles in Chinese, they would be saying, President Xi, please intervene and stop the Tigrayan massacre or whatever. But just have we all seen the Donald Trump President of Peace stuff? Paralleling Jesus, Prince of Peace. I saw it, I might have seen it to be fair, on Trump's Truth Social. But it's just this thing about how he's just doing so many peace deals. He's so good at settling conflicts. And it's just the things of, I barely need to tell people this, but just deals that Trump is going to strike are so much more likely to firmly entrench pre-existing power dynamics. Like in the peace deal, the supposed ceasefire, the complete fucking sham ceasefire in Gaza, it has a reconstruction plan attached to it, and it's the reconstruction plan is unlikely to happen as agreed because it was agreed with American mediation and with Palestinians there, and it's just going to be Israelis building whatever they want for Israelis. It's just not going to be it's a peace that's the exact definition of when people are peace is just sustainable, quiet. It's just the absence of violence back against the ruling class. And we see this already, right? Israel is still killing Palestinians the whole time. But yeah, Trump loves that he's been involved in peace deals. I think it's so much the same. Yeah, I mean, again, sustainable quiet, but it's so much like Trump, since he started his second administration, has been like just trying to very rapidly change the nature of what America is. And America World Police works pretty well for them when they're like constantly letting things like bubble over and seeing how power can be leveraged around the world with different conflicts. The kind of like this goes to that thing Mule loves saying, and it's been going around a bunch, the like everyone's 12 politics. Like, Trump has a bit of a 12-year-old brain when it comes to, like, America World Police, because it's just like, well, what if we just solved them all? Well, what if we just told all of them to stop fighting? Like, we'll just tell them all to stop fighting then. And it's like, yes, then they would all stop fighting immediately in the short term. And I'm not saying, this sounds very, like, cynical, kind of like, oh, but what about human nature kind of thing? Very unusual position for me to take on stuff. But just like there are material reasons that are driving conflicts, and the shortest route from wherever you are to technically having a peace deal is not necessarily a sound analysis of the forces that have driven conflict in the first place. All of that to say, the perfect example of this would be Africa, where constant looting by imperialist powers for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, not just of mineral wealth, but of people, of land, of labor, like has done so much harm to the continent and continues to. And you're just going to be like, hey, stop fighting each other, chill out, because you've got the American military, like the biggest gun in the world. And so they stop fighting each other for a while. But what does that mean? Like, it's not a path towards ultimately like a happier world or society, when some of the conflict has to do with people fighting for the existence of their ethnic group, like in Gaza, right? Like, that's a situation where Palestinians, where like Israel had a borderline that was like, people shouldn't come out of here. It's the combat zone line that was not the border of Gaza and now is, right? They've claimed a bunch of territory in the process of this supposed ceasefire. Like, this is that's going to be the same anywhere where there's a large power bullying a weaker rebel force. And as for like the legacy of colonialism, that's just manyfold, just multiplied over and over and over again. Like, this is all right. This is like the classic Limmy stream clip where he explains the like points out the borders in Africa. I want a really nice simple Africa map. He's just going like, look at all these straight lines, and that's what I want to do. Like, let's just bring up Africa for 1 second. Just like, see all these straight lines? It's just like, that's not good for people's ability to have self-determination. Like, every straight line on this map, ooh, look at that one, look, crikey, look at Mauritania and Mali, like, that's there's a whole ass square in there trying to emerge. Oh, I've covered it up, sorry. Look at that, that's ridiculous. Like, Africa as a continent, is divided on national borders that like have been created by like polite handshakes by civilized Europeans, and it's just like, that's not good for the continent's ability to, like, even before you get to things like I was just talking about with Mandela, like where American imperialist economic powers have come in and said like, and not just American, like, I need to, it's fair to say that like China messing around in Africa could have negative impacts, just not nearly as negative as America's, because America is actively like omnicidal. Mule says white person lines. Yeah, exactly. French line disease. But so many regime changes in Africa in very recent years have been countries specifically throwing off the yoke of French colonialism and like refusing French power to be like in charge of their their country anymore. And that's like, yeah, that's just if you were to have a peace deal against that conflict, right? Suppose that was an armed conflict, suppose that was a violent conflict, and you were like, we're going to create peace here. It would not lead to a long-term better situation. And that's none of that, by the way, is to say that Biden would have been any better, that Obama was any better, that Clinton would have been any better, that Kamala would have been any better. These people are all like terrifying psychopathic warlords when it comes to the rest of the world, the imperial periphery in Africa. Almost most of all, but no, the true most of all is Haiti, and we must never forget this. But Trump is a 12-year-old warlord. It's a different kettle of fish, right? Let's see what chat is saying about the article. Fairthingale says, I feel so pieced right now. Thanks to him killing USAID, so many people here are dying. So many clinics just gone. So very fucking pieced. Yeah, I think it's really... Like, in the long term, America's influence being reduced in the region may be good. In the short term, terrible. Like when Biden pulled out of Afghanistan. Was that Biden? Fuck. When America pulled out of Afghanistan, right, it was like, now the Taliban is in control. This is obviously immediately terrible. And if America hadn't been interfering in the first place, like if the only interventions were by a force that would like toward democracy, or there were no interventions and people just had to find like resist against authoritarianism themselves, like that would be better. Like American occupation of Afghanistan, the most recent, by the way, because like Western powers in Afghanistan goes back hundreds of years, is a 20-year occupation, right? Like a 20-year occupation, how the fuck do you expect people to, like, if you then leave, like you just suddenly pull out and you're gone one day, yes, things are going to be immediately fucking terrible. But in that time, if you hadn't been there at all, like that's a long ass fucking time. And again, we're not counting the hundreds of years before that. It's really striking to me. I don't know if people remember this. In the Sherlock Holmes adaptation, in Sherlock, the BBC show, Benedict Cumberbatch, and Little Martin, Dr. Watson's just come back from Afghanistan, which is a true fact about Dr. Watson from the original Sherlock Holmes books. Because Western powers just can't stay the fuck out of Afghanistan. Anyway, my point of all of this being, like, US aid, its immediate absence sucks. I'm not trying to like put a silver lining on a ton of people dying. That just sucks. But ultimately, there is some aspect of the master-slave dialectic. The idea of like the slave realizing that they don't need the master, like the necessary adjustment to a world in which you don't have US aid requires that when in future, if in future there were ever the offer of it again, you would be in a stronger position. And that's, in part because there's some somewhat beneficial, somewhat benevolent powers in the world, rather than just the endless demonic Satan of America. Right. Fairthingale says, yeah, like if this had been gradual, but none of this has a plan. Yeah, and that's the real horror of it as well. Like, yeah, like if American support of other countries like were to exit gradually in line with like development indices, all of the like maximum liberal wonk stuff, they've got like some kind of big dial, the UN like pushes the clock along until it's like ding, developed nation, ding, we've achieved the right amount of, I don't know, tax credits for small business owners or some shite. and then, you know, it's like American aid is ticking out as it ticks to that point. That would be one thing. But it's like American aid is only ever going to like disappear really fucking suddenly, because like it necessarily keeps countries under American influence, and America doesn't want them to develop up to a place where they're doing better, not better than America. Like, you know, like South Africa is a big economy, but it's never going to be doing better than America unless unless the next few years for America are very, very funny. Sorry, I'm losing the point a little bit. My point is that Trump being like a peace negotiator and ending all of the wars in Africa is such a spit in everyone's face when it's so flagrantly self-interested for America, because he's a fascist, right? He's an American fascist. Like, why the fuck is the idea that the Economist just has to like write positive articles about Trump because he's the president and they love America and American imperialism, and he's the American imperialism guy, he's the president, and so if they praise him, he might do more American imperialism instead of shutting down American imperialism, which is what they're terrified of. Yeah, is an underlying horror of liberal slop. Fairthingale says, one of the biggest rages in my life right now is trying to mobilize with protests for watching our whale habitats being sold to deep sea drilling, our beautiful coast being dug up like some dumb 80s sci-fi movie by rich foreign interests. Total Energies, mostly. I don't understand. Total Energies, is that a company? Yes it is. Oh, grim. Oh, they've got a presence in the UK, look at that. French multinational. Very cool. Very cool. Gee, I wonder why there are so many French energy companies. That's so strange. What a peculiar thing. This just occurred to me and no one else ever. Right, who else is chatting about the article? Middle-earth Marxist, this is quite a good comment. Middle-earth Marxist says, have the words International Monetary Fund even once come out of AOC's mouth? Probably. I've never seen it. It's a pretty good point, right? Hermeneutic says, I wish there were more protests here in France about the situation in Africa. It's insane that there aren't. Hermeneutics, should I show the art that you drew? Because I really, really liked it. Who else? Middle-earth Marxist says, didn't America lose entire pellet crates of cash in Afghanistan like every single month? Yeah. Just pouring cash into, like, metaphorically and literally, into control, right? And just systems of control that, like, I criticized it in the Charlie Kirk video. I try to stay off of like har, the fascist is so dumb. And at the same time, Trump is like quite dumb. Hermeneutic says, oh, I'd be honored. So everyone, I was on Tumblr. This story just gets more Tumblr with every word. So just brace for that. I was on Tumblr and I was talking about my persona. It gets more and more. Who is a pink-haired lioness. It's just more and more and more. And Hermeneutics, beloved chatter, drew a picture and I really liked it. So I'll just show you real quick because it's really cute. Sorry, you just gotta scroll through. There's a take about transmisogyny. There's a post about kink. There's a painting from the 1800s. Transmisogyny. Take about transmisogyny. There's some more transmisogyny. We'll find it in a sec. One sec. And there's more transmisogyny. There's more transmisogyny discourse. Oh, there's one of my posts. That's cool. There's one of my posts about transmisogyny. I'll get there eventually, I'm sure. I'm sure I'm going to get there eventually. Yes, there it is. Okay. Look, it's so pretty. I love this so much. This is so delightful. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with everyone because I feel very seen when people draw my persona, and now I'm going to... Sharp Object says, are you a Sphinx cat? This is a lioness. I have another here that a friend drew a few years ago. Or no, sometime last year. Yeah. Those are actually the only two pictures of my persona that I have that people have drawn for me. Actually, there's one more that I commissioned a while ago, but I don't have that anymore. Okay. We're going to go on to the second article of the stream. We are an hour and a quarter into the stream. Ignore that. Chat. And VOD watchers, I haven't forgotten. If you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. If you tip, you could help me get towards my dono goal. And if we get up to 350, which I'm guessing will be about there when the green gets up to there, I have a chat reward. I will tell a 10-minute long joke. And people who know me in real life can vouch that the first one I tell is going to be really, really good. And that the second one, if we hit the second one, it's going to be really, really bad. So everyone, please do command tip. There it is, !TIP. You can also go to my Patreon and support me there if you want to support me on a monthly basis and contribute to my main income. Fairthingale says of the persona drawing, she looks like she's getting head scratches. That is something I love about it. She seems very full of joy, and that's a really nice feeling to see expressed that way. Right. Oh, you know what? Speaking of Tumblr, I actually just had an ask from that I haven't replied to yet, but I've got the ask in my inbox. I can't show you it because I have asks in my inbox that they've explicitly requested me to never publish, and I've just held on to them. But Hey Zelda said, last stream you mentioned lazily feeding good Tumblr asks/conversations into Substack, and I wanted to mention that Devon Price, author of Laziness Does Not Exist, in fact, also does this, sometimes purposefully I think, and also does streams of reading through the resulting article as a way to create an A/V version, an AV version of the piece for people who prefer that, while also including opportunity for chat discussions. I know I've quite enjoyed the evolution of the way it uses that model, so I'd share that feedback. I know it doesn't necessarily fit your schedule to do something like that while also doing liberal slop streams at the moment. But if you have other work that you want to move beyond the text medium but you don't want to make a full video on, then from my individual audience point of view, there's a good precedent for that middle ground to work really well. Obviously, all of this is referencing that last stream we started by reading through my piece, Introduction to Organ Thought, which, I do think, I do find that stuff, quite important, and I would like to spend more time discussing it on the stream. And I kind of skim-read it last time, and I think on a future stream, I might do some of that, especially if I do more writing about it. I might do a stream that's quite focused around organ thought and how I view fractal logics of sociology and politics, because ultimately these streams have always been about teaching and been about sharing knowledge. I want for chatters and VOD viewers alike to be as empowered as they can by the things that I can say and share and teach. So yeah, I guess as I flesh out my framework there, I might do some of that. If people are interested, chat, let me know if you think that would be good. Me reading through some of my own Substack stuff, some of my own writing that would also include some contributions I've had from Tumblr. All of this is reminding me that I actually had a really good ask earlier today that I might also read through just now. Yes, I'm actually going to do that. So, hey Zelda is now in chat, says, this was just a thought. I've always felt like I get a lot from your streams. Thank you, I really appreciate that. Really seriously, that's what I'm, trying to do here. That's the point. Prince Infidel says, I like this concept. Hermeneutics says, plural gang, which, responding to Widow Oz, there we go, who said, #getting pluraler together. Because it's organ thought. Yes, I understand now. Okay. Okay. So I'm now going to do a small segment before we do the next Economist article, reading out a Tumblr ask and my answer, and then discussing to see what that kind of content would look like. And then we can all think about how that would be if I did more of that in future. Fairthingale says, your streams have very much enriched my brain meats over the years. I really appreciate that. Omster says, orgone thought. That's so true. The pyramid is up there right now. My wife has put up a lovely shelf that's nestled into the corner that's very perfect for trinkets. And she has a marble cube that she was given as a prize from a job, a big tech company. And so she's combined them into one object. And it's channeling her genius through the orgone pyramid. Okay, I'm going to read out this question, which is to do with organ thought and fractal logics of politics, a framework based. It's just like a silly joke I do sometimes where I have a low voice. It's just like a silly bit. It doesn't really mean anything. I don't know what it's about. I just find it funny sometimes. I'm going to read this ask now. Okay. Mixing Metaphors Soup asked even, hi Sophie, I hope you're doing well. I've been reading Debt the First 5,000 Years, and today I started chapter 11 about the age of colonialism and the rise of capitalist empires. In discussing the conquistadors, Graeber makes a point about the contradictory relationship, perhaps the dialectic, even, between the adventurer, e.g. Cortez and his men, whose operations are based in risk, and their investors whose business requires constant accumulation of capital over time. He says that, in reference to the conquistadors' brutality, quote, those making the decisions did not feel they were in control anyway. Those who were in control did not particularly care to know the details. He then relates this to how modern capitalists will disavow decisions they make by saying it's what the corporation has to do to increase shareholder value, even if they allegedly personally think it's unethical. The structure of a corporation with executives and shareholders eliminates all moral imperatives except profit. I haven't read Deleuze and Guattari, so I could be entirely wrong about what you've been trying to get at, but this very much reads to me as arriving at a similar idea, which is admittedly not at all the main point he's making, from a very different approach. Does this make sense at all? I am very autistic and bad at organizing my thoughts and summarizing sources, so I apologize if this is incoherent. This is a great question, to be clear. I think this is a really great question, and Mixing Metaphor Soup did not need to be down on themselves in this way. Yeah, just great. Weirdo of Oz says, it was fun watching you go back up the train of thought in reverse. Yes, I have to do that a lot. Sometimes it involves having a multi-part conversation with myself. I said, this is great, thank you. Yes, I think this is an example of organ thought for sure. For the benefit of those who haven't got around to reading Debt the First 5,000 Years yet, this part is about how much of colonialism was directly carried out by people who were working on very short-term debt relationships and needed to generate capital to keep on living, even in some cases renting their tools or having to buy them from the company they worked for. The conquistadors obviously carried out atrocities that, quote, my boss had a quota wouldn't be an adequate justification for, but we're all familiar with the way that needing money can drive us to do things we otherwise wouldn't. I think this is a great example for talking about social organisms because it helps us understand the futility of assigning individual blame in these systems. It shows why the capitalists, who absolutely should be liable for their workers' atrocious acts, can successfully disavow them, while their workers, acting under the aegis of their bosses, can do such horrible things. Both would point to the other as responsible, and both certainly are on an individual level, in different ways. But the primary fault, if we want to lay it anywhere, is with the system of colonialism with capital accumulation, a thing you can't put in the dock to stand trial for its crimes. So yeah, I just think that's I remember reading, and it was someone who I now think is a bit of a crank. Liberal crank. Liberal crank's the worst because it's you have kooky ideas, but you're just not doing anything different to the main the main thing everyone's doing here. Who is it? Yuval Noah Harari. talking in Sapiens about how was it Sapiens? I think so. About how a corporation is called that because it is corporealizing the it is giving body to it. It's creating a supposed and like fictional like legal person. Like any corporation has gone through a legal process of effectively pretending that it's a person. And yeah, I think that's really telling, because if we think about that person and what like decision-making faculties they don't have any. Like they are just the product of the interactions of all the people in the corporation. But that's some of the basics of social organisms. Sundry Clown Car 295 rather says, you can't just individually lock up capitalism and throw away the key. Trust me, I've seen people try. I can't manage all these computers, but my imaginary friend Mr. AWS certainly can. Yeah, that's kind of it. Okay, so that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. We would have a bit of reading about that stuff, answer any questions in the chat if people felt stumped on anything, and yeah, that would be what that content would be like. So, I've forgotten which article was next. Yes, I have really good news, everyone. The second article of the night is called Democrats Risk Drawing the Wrong Lessons from One Good Day. The second article of the night is Mamdani Cope. That's right. It's The Economist. No specific author from The Economist. This is The Economist's official Mamdani Cope. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I would love to get more donos or subscriptions. But we're going to start the article just now. We got a few more to look through after that. I hope we have time for all of them. 7:30 right now. I'm going to read this. I'm going to have a very short break, just make myself another cup of tea, and then we'll do the other ones. Okay, remember, if you're enjoying the stream, to consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using Command Tip. And that goes for you as well, VOD watchers. Check the link underneath the VOD and subscribe to my Patreon or give me money directly. You can do both. Okay, let's read. Democrats risk drawing the wrong lessons from one good day. Moderate governors offer a better model than a charming socialist in New York. I'd like to point out before we start that I'm reading an archived version of this, and that there are 3 snapshots. And I think the main change, although, we could look through the whole article for specific differences, but I think the main change is probably the thumbnail. Which I find quite funny, because if you look at the thumbnail of the original version of the article, and that's the one we're going to read, by the way. They've just got the most sinister possible Zoran. Just like evil Zoran. It's just a bit much, And then they had to change it. I might make this one of our intermission screens. Just like Zoran. Maybe I'll give him a gun. I don't know. Anyway, I remember I had a Bernie intermission screen. I might still have it, actually. It's on my Twitch page when nothing is streaming. Bernie with a tiny little head. I might do. You know what I might do? I might do tiny head Zoran. Maybe little devil horns. But I might do tiny head Zoran. Which works especially well because he's such good friends, as we know from the New York City mayoral debates. He's such good friends with Hassan Piker, who obviously his body is scaled up to like 4 times what it should be compared to his head, because his body's so big. Okay, I'm being too silly now. Let's read the article. We're going to read the original version of the article with demon Zoran at the top. You can tell he's bad because he's got bisexual lighting and also like a bit of a going on. All right. Okay. Volpix989 says, I'm late, I overslept. That's a shame because I read out your comment on stream because I liked it so much. So, I'm glad you're here, is what I'm really trying to say, actually. I'm glad you're here. DJ Mule says, condemned Hassan, condemn hummus. I do condemn hummus. I think Sabra hummus is fucking dog shit that it should be kept away from all living things. I think it's probably the result of some kind of nuclear test site spillage. Okay, the voters have spoken. But what did they say? They said, we like socialism, you fucking cunt. The elections held on November 4th. If this is going to be a big angle of this, what did they say? This is going to be a nice follow-on from the previous Economist, like data-focused article that we read about how white people that didn't vote for Zoran. So cool and normal. Just so cool and normal. It's just like you see what these people turn into. Not Zoran, these people. You see what these people turn into when they have to stop a socialist having power. Just like when they are trying to paint themselves as the only alternative to Trump, it's like, please give me $50. My Nancy Pelosi is sick. I need to rush her to the hospital. She ate a chocolate bar out of the trash. I'm so itty bitty and small, and the only thing that can help is $5 from you, person who unwillingly gave your mobile number to the Democrats one time. Person who had your your mobile number scammed by a fucking data leak that the Democrats took advantage of. We are the only thing that can stop Trump. He's going to break into your house and murder you to death. And then there's a fucking socialist who needs stopping, and it's just like fucking go time. Like, let's get in the Hitler car and floor the fucking gas. All right. Got some new chat. Oh, hello. We've got Beanie Gaby. Hello, welcome to the stream. Lovely to see you. Jokes on them. Showing me a picture of Mamdani with more of a gremlin smile makes me like him more, actually. he is... That's the thing I was saying last stream as well. Like, they picked out the only pictures of him where he's not smiling. Because he's got, like, such a just beaming, like, boyish, childish, enthusiastic smile that just, like, screams, like, you know, I'm genuinely, like, happy about this thing. And I'm sure that, like, all politicians, he's, like, practiced that and, like, made it look as good as possible. But it's just very telling. Actually, you know what? Elon Musk. Let's just go Elon Musk images. And, right, first row. Elon Musk doing this. Hang on. Dumb guy's picture of a smart guy, right? Like dumb guy's idea of what a smart guy looks like. and he tries so hard to be caught on camera doing that, and he very clearly thinks very hard about how to look on camera because he does that little fucking jump where he's an X. Like which, like, if anything, by the way, does endear me to him a lot better than his, like, Gendo Akari fingers or the Sea Kyle. But actually, you know, I've scrolled down on the thing now and I've seen there are loads more. So there's this one, there's this one. This is emphasizing my point that he does actually just do this all the time, right? And when people write about him, they include this all the time is the thing, right? But when they're writing about Zoran, who his smile is just him smiling, like his look is just him being happy to chat with people and having a cool time. Like, they find the, like, one picture where he was listening to someone talk about how, like, Eric Adams's policies meant that their grandma got evicted and hit by 6 subway trains. Like, and he's just, like, you know, stony-faced, like, listening to them. And then they've used that picture as, like, look how evil and sinister Zoran is. And when they talk about someone like Trump, someone like Musk, who's a fucking Nazi, they're like, yes, let's use the picture of him doing this so that everyone knows he's a smart guy. It's just like, that's how he wants to be seen. And all the same people want to help him be seen that way. And, for that matter, to not be seen that way. Heyo! All the same people want to help Musk be seen the way he wants, and to present Zoran as like sinister. It's like they have to try very hard to make it work that way. We were in the middle of reading some Zoran Cope. Let's go. Enjoying stream, paying for stream, consider. You know all the words. Okay. Transition. There it is. Sorry, I have a big transition button in the middle of my Streamlabs, and I'm like, I did. Leave me alone. Stop. Okay, we're back at it. The voters have spoken, but what did they say? The elections held on November 4th have consequences for how Minneapolis, New Jersey, New York City, and Virginia are run, for electricity prices in Georgia, and for the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. They were also the first real test of whether Donald Trump's second term is everything voters hoped for when they chose last November to send him back to the White House. What an incredible sentence. Sorry. Everything voters hoped for, when you know that like half of all the people who voted were like terrified of Trump getting in for the reason of like all the things that he's done since getting back in. Anyway, overall, Democrats did even better than expected. Yet one good night has not solved the party's enduring problems. Oh shit, is this going to be barely about Zoran? That would be nuts. Well, we know what the subtitle here said. You know, moderate governors are more important than a socialist. Whatever you say. Like, he beat them in the primary, an incredibly hard-fought primary, after, like, polling single digits at the start of the year, and then went on to win the mayoral as well. Like, the story with Zoran is not that he won the mayoral election as such, because, like, it was never going to be Curtis Sliwa, you know? The story with Zoran, I mean, yeah, the story with Zoran is that is that he beat Cuomo. It's the primary is the important election there. Anyway, turnout was high, suggesting enthusiasm for Zoran Mamdani and his brand of socialism. Yes, Economist, you're very clever. Isn't it ironic? Wow. This is a big win for the oligarch-bashing left of the party. Just like, what else would you be in relation to oligarchs? Oligarch sucking? Oligarch groveling? Would you just be the Economist? I just, like... What else would you be, the Economist? Democrats who think the answer to Mr. Trump is left-wing economic populism now have a new champion. But Mr. Mamdani's victory does not answer the question of how Democrats should oppose Mr. Trump, nor how they could win back power nationally, doesn't it? Because everyone feels like it does implicitly, otherwise you wouldn't have written this article. Sorry, everyone implicitly agrees that it's obvious that socialism is actually popular with people, or you wouldn't have written this article trying to convince us that it's not. But Mr. Mamdani's victory does not answer the question of how Democrats should oppose Mr. Trump, nor how they can win back the power nationally. And that is because, and by the way, there's not going to be elections. I've said this a few times. It's not my hill to die on. Like, if there are elections, I'll be surprised, but it's whatever. But there are not going to be elections. Like, there's not going to be a presidential election. Like, the guy who tried to seize power by force with a mob of his supporters at the Capitol, he's not going to hold elections. Anyway. The guy who spent the last 10 years talking about Democrat election fraud. Anyway. And that is because Democratic presidential candidates win New York City. That is because Democratic presidential candidates win New York City come what may. None has lost there since John Davis was defeated by Calvin Coolidge in 1924. Oh, it's because the American people are dumb and reactionary. I see. I see what incredible propaganda you are doing for the great nation of America, land of the free and home of the brave. that the American people are too stupid and reactionary to want socialism. It's only those dang university-educated coastal elites who could possibly want socialism. The ordinary working man could never be interested in socialism. Virginia and New Jersey, which both held governor's elections, are better places for Democrats to look for inspiration. Sorry, but were there socialist candidates there? Because unless there are a score of places in which moderates beat socialists and then won the vote against the right wing, there isn't strong data against the idea that a socialist would have been more popular. Okay, I'm ready to eat my words if that's the rest of the article. Abigail Spanberger won in Virginia. The result was no surprise. The last time a Republican won the governorship with a Republican in the White House was 1973, but the 15-point margin was larger than expected. Yes, people really, really, really hate Trump. The same is true in New Jersey, where polls favored Mikey Sherrill to beat a good Republican candidate, Jack Ciattarelli. Sorry, this is bringing me to the other point. Mule says Spamberger mentioned. What's happening here? Sorry, I thought I heard something from my neighbor. In fact, I did, but it's fine. What am I saying? I'm doing a plug while I think about what the thing was I was going to say. Hey everyone, if you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using Command Tip. There's Command Tip in chat. It's !TIP. I would really like money to be able to live and pay for food and rent and bills and also treats, because it's also not wrong for me to have nice things if you think about it. Also, if you're watching the VOD, you can go through to my Patreon if you want to support me on a monthly basis, or give me money directly through my Linktree. But chatters right now, you can subscribe, which will give you cool little emotes. But it doesn't give me that much money. It gives quite a sizable chunk to Jeff Bezos directly. You can also cheer, same problem. You can tip. Tipping is wonderful because Amazon doesn't get any of it. If you already have a Prime subscription and you have that linked to your Twitch account, you have one Prime sub that you could give to me, and you don't pay any extra money, but I do get real money. So that one's pretty cool. I remember what the point was. The point was, even if there is a perfect control group in terms of polling and voting that's socialism is not popular enough with these people, the moderates beat out the socialists in, to use the Economist's phrase from last stream, places that look like the real America. Fucking disgusting. Even if that data were clearly there, you have a control group that's perfectly, you can demonstratively, no doubt say this voter base will not vote for socialism. They should, because socialism is better for everyone. And I know that's very paternalistic approach to politics, but socialism is better. And the reason that people vote against socialism is gibberish lies they've been fed by publications like The Economist to make them afraid of socialism. So, even if you had a really clear-cut thing where loads of places had socialist candidates run but lose to moderates who then won by a massive lead over the Republicans, that still wouldn't be a good thing for everyone, a good thing for the world. Sundry Clown Car, thank you so much for tipping £5. I really appreciate that. NB Asher says, first time viewing person here. Damn, that finger crack was insane. That is an occasional thing you'll have to get used to on the stream. I just crack my joints quite a lot. These ones are all done at the moment, but these ones are actually infinitely renewable. Sophie from Mars, a transitional energy source. Okay. Back to the article. 15-point margin was larger than expected. The same is true in New Jersey, where polls favored Mikey Sherrill to beat a good Republican candidate, Jack Cettarelli. Prince Infidel has tipped £13.12. Thank you so much. And the message says, tips the streamer, Milady. That's really funny. I like that a lot. I need to re-record my stream alerts because I have, I think, pre-FFS footage of me, which doesn't like bother me. It's just crazy because I look quite different to that now. And it's been a long, like that was the last time I was fat. Like, I've got, like, soft and squishy again. That's how long it's been. I entirely, like, lost half of that body mass and got it back again. Not half, that's ridiculous. Middle-earth Marxist says, meow lady. Sorry, that's really silly. Okay. Mikey Sherrill, Jack Cettarelli. Within the margin of error. In the end, she won easily. Mikey is a she. Okay. I'm just worried I'm saying it wrong. That broke a streak going back to 1961, the last time a candidate won the office after an incumbent from the same party had served 2 consecutive terms. Broke a streak going back to 1961, the last time a candidate won the office after an incumbent from the same party had served 2 consecutive terms. What you're telling me is that the situation in New Jersey is that a Democrat just won after a Democrat was in for 2 consecutive terms. So this is just a place that generally votes quite Democrat, right? Is that so? I'm not sure. Like, they're trying, you know that, like, there are 3 kinds of lies, damn lies, and statistics. The Economist, fucking hell. NB Asher says, noises caused puppy noises in Eastern Germany. The clicking? Or other noises I made. I ended last stream by meowing a bunch, which could equally cause a bunch of puppy noises in the viewers. It has been known to happen from time to time. 2 consecutive terms, right. Some Democrats will look at all of this and conclude New York's mayoral election shows that voters are fired up by the policies associated with the party's far left. Some people will assume that the policies of making New York affordable, of giving people free bus and rent controls, are things people like. But The Economist, luckily, is here to tell us that we're wrong about that. That the Democratic Party is in better shape than the pundits think. This is great because this idea of, like, the party needs to be in good enough shape to offer obviously unpopular things like rent controls and free buses. If the party's in bad shape, it shouldn't offer things like single mothers being able to eat. That'll kill the party if the party's really unpopular and it's not doing well. Offering things that people obviously hate, like free buses. Sorry. It's just too much. Like, I told you that Zoran Cope was going to be good. It's just an unending wellspring of glee. I fucking love Zoran Cope as a distinct subgenre of liberal slop. What a blessed time for me to return with the liberal slop stream in time for Zoran's win. Okay. Okay, so some people think voters like those policies, the party is doing well, and that next year's midterm elections are as good as one. They would be making a mistake. Well, it's like those are 3 different statements, right? Like, just to be completely real here for a second. No, actually, I should leave it on screen. Sorry. I need to reference the stuff. Okay, the 3 points here are the policies associated with the party's far left are popular and voters like them. That's 1, right? Let's put pins in them and separate them out here. 1, people like socialist policies. 2, the Democratic Party is in good shape. 3, next year's midterm elections are as good as one. And these are such entirely separate statements that actually don't all pack together neatly in the way that The Economist is implying. Socialist policies are popular. By the way, since Zoran's win, is it since this article? It's since this article, to be fair to them. But since Zoran's win, there's also been a socialist candidate who's won in Seattle. And I know Seattle is also very left-leaning, but, like, that's telling, right? Like, there's been another one that quickly, and there are more people who are also campaigning on far left policies like free bus rides and and rent controls. Sundry Clowncar says, "You're all idiots. I, the faceless old economist who lives in your walls, will now tell you the truth." What did I call the stream today? Battling the Guild of Rizzless Warlocks. That's The Economist. The anonymous, the faceless, rizzless warlocks. Anonymous, speaking of anonymous, an anonymous gifter, a good anonymous this time, this is much more like the hacker known as Anonymous, has gifted 5 tier 1 subs to the community. So, Zed Steffer, Longship Loft, Starlight Reverie, Stupid Bastard Gaming, okay, and 482482 SPK, you all now have tier 1 subs and can use Sophie from Mars emotes, such as CIA Femboy, and MILF Pills, and Bimbo Stickers, and what's the other one? Girl Goo, which is not about cum. This is something I've been reflecting on recently. I probably also should update my emotes, because that one's not about cum, and it should be. If you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. I would really appreciate that, because I'm doing a job right now. I'm doing work, and it's nice when I get paid for doing work. In my humble onion. Hey Zelda in chat says, "I saw a little of Sarah Zedek watching the current Seattle mayor's concession speech, and what a weird guy." I haven't seen it, but that sounds really interesting and fun to watch. Fairthingale says, "Do you think the 3 unrelated things are meant to make you disagree with one and thereby throw away all 3? I think that's a pretty good read on it. I think that they are trying to bundle them all together in a way that says, if you think any of these are true, we think that... If you think that any of these things are true, we think that that C follows from B follows from A, that A implies B implies C, and therefore one of them being wrong must mean all of them are wrong. And we're going to explain why now. But it's just that these 3 statements are incredibly separate, aren't they? Like, people like socialist policies. Let's just deal with that one as the absolute elephant in the room, the thing people are doubtless the most eager to discuss here. People like socialist policies. Yes! Yes, people like socialist policies. Yes! I'm sorry, but just like, yes. That's just true, isn't it? That's just obviously true. People just do like free stuff. And you can keep on saying, like, oh, but there's not enough money for free stuff. There's no magic money tree. But it's like, yes, there is. Yes, there is. We all know that the state can print money. We all know that, like, all sorts of budgetary magic is possible when it's for ICE, or when it's for bailing out banks, or all sorts of shit like this. We all live currently in the shadow of 9/11, the Iraq War, the financial crisis, right? Like, still, right? Like, adults, like, everyone who's an adult now was at least born just after some of those things. We all live in the shadow of those things. 3 things where the American government demonstrated incredible spending power towards things that people fucking hated. The expansion of the surveillance state, right? The NSA, DHS, CIA, TSA, and FBI, in the case of 9/11. The Iraq War, a massive war everyone hated. And the financial crisis, where they bailed out the banks, right? That's, oh my goodness, everything's popping off at once. Okay, thank you so much too. Hey Zelda, thank you for tipping £16.33. If only Google turned you into a Goo Girl, I would really consider it. I will have to consult with comrades who are definitely not me, who are producing injectable estrogen and see if they can make a kind of estrogel that also turns you into a gel. I'll relay to anonymous comrades that that's a much needed thing. The second thing is that another anonymous gifter, or no, maybe the same one, who knows, an anonymous gifter has just gifted 5 tier 1 subs to the community. So Ashen Reef, Hirvox, the Arcane Moose, Mobile Suit M, and Sundry Clowncar 295 now all have tier 1 subs and can use emotes such as Girl Goo, MILF Pills, Make It Gay, maybe CIA Femboy. I actually don't know if that's on that tier or not. Okay. Okay, number 1. People like socialist policies. That's what we were talking about. People like free fucking stuff, and we've all seen that the state actually has so much money that compared to the amount of money anyone encounters in normal life, like, and I even mean like stocks and shares in your company or whatever, the state has infinite money. Like, especially the fucking American state. Come on, give me a break. And so you can tell people till you're blue in the face that communism is impossible because you run out of other people's money, because there's no magic money tree, blah, blah, blah. People like free stuff. And if someone can speak with credibility and authority on it, then they'll vote for that person if that person seems like they'll actually give it to them. The problem with like liberals promising the free stuff, I think that is a thing as well, right? Is that the liberals are like, if I promised this stuff, people wouldn't vote for it. It would be a really unpopular thing. And they're the same people who are saying that there's no budget for it. And it's like, yes, because you wouldn't give it to people. You would promise it and then take it away again. So yes, they would be mad at you and wouldn't want to vote for it. NB Asher, speaking of HRT, says, I maybe bought estro and testo blockers in a maybe illegal way from a trans femme train conductress. That's delightful. I just realized I know a trans femme train conductress. I'm just shit afraid and haven't dared to take them yet. So scary. That can be a scary moment. Also, just do it. Just do it. Just do it, though. You have my encouragement, blessing, permission, anything you want that you need from me or the chat to do it. We're all behind you. Just do it. Okay, we are on the 3 statements. Okay, so firstly, that people like free stuff. We know this is true. Okay, now separately analyzing, the party is in good shape. No, obviously not true. One of the primary reasons it's not in good shape, it doesn't offer free stuff. One of the number 1 reasons that the Democratic Party is not doing well right now is that it hasn't been offering anyone fucking anything, and it would be doing better if it was offering people free stuff, if it had socialist policies. People didn't turn out to stop Trump becoming president, right? Like, with the cultural dominance that on like the left, on the liberal left, on the progressive left, identity politics has had over the last 20, 30 years especially, a black woman running for president, right, has an appeal to people who are like all the way idpol-brained, right? Stopping Trump getting in for people who just want to stop Trump and that's the only thing they care about, right? They are there. To fuck that up means that you just aren't offering materially anything to anyone. And they wouldn't oppose the genocide in Gaza. They wouldn't oppose the genocide. They wouldn't make any like meaningful offers to people about, check this out, right? You know what? Let's pull back a second. I've already said this before. Oh, I have a hype chest in the I don't think I like Twitch. There you go. I've shared the choo-choo hype chest in chat. I got an emote. Does other people have it? The remote is respectfully no. So I feel like it captured my antagonism well anyway. I'm so easily distractible tonight. What's that about? Pulling back from the genocide, right? Because like they could have said we will end the genocide. We will reverse course, and we will sanction Israel, and we will stop the genocide in Gaza, and we will, and that, right? Theoretically. Realistically, like maybe we have a bit of a social organism, organ thought style analysis of America as a social organism. We understand that like it actually can't reverse course. Like it's incapable of changing position on that and opposing Israel, because Israel is just part of American imperialism and it can't just like start attacking its own body. But we pull back and we're just like, here's a progressive candidate who is a woman who is coming in just after Joe Biden has let them they've overturned Roe v. Wade, and abortion is no longer federally protected. A bunch of states are just killing women by forcing them to give birth, or forcing them to carry pregnancies that are unsafe, or forcing them to carry pregnancies that make them miserable and they kill themselves, or forcing them to carry pregnancies that are illegal, that it would be illegal for them to terminate, so they try and cross state lines, so they get prosecuted, so then the woman is in jail and the baby is born in prison. Like, just nightmare shit, right? Just absolutely, like, it's femicide, right? It's femicide by a different means. It's not like the direct killing of women in targeted misogynistic violence. It's not like abortion of female fetuses, but it's a femicide, right? Because it's killing off women and making an entire like avenue of female agency just like directly result in death. And you've got a candidate running for president who's a woman. If she had promised to federally enshrine abortion access, do we think she would have lost? Like, very seriously? Like, can you argue that seriously there that, like, the number of people who wanted to show out to stop Trump, the number of people who were hyped that it was going to be a black woman president, plus people who would show out because, like, they don't like that she's not opposing the genocide, but she is going to stop. She is promising to do things differently than Trump would, right? This is a crucial one, because just not being Trump can't be enough of a reason on its own. Like, the Democrats were riding on this massive high, this, like, carte blanche of just, like, we can do whatever the fuck we want because we're not Trump. We can just stick to the policy platform that we like best, because we're not Trump. So people will vote for us. And it's just like, she could have offered anything. Any one thing, even. That's my point about abortion, right? Like, abortion is a huge thing. And I think in politics, especially, like, so male-dominated, that, like, people underestimate how significant it is to people. But it is a significant one. But there are other ones that are smaller, that even that one thing on their own would have won her the election, and she just offered fucking nothing. Okay. So, yes, the Democratic Party is in bad shape. But there's a very obvious argument that the Democratic Party is in bad shape because they're not left-wing enough. And then thirdly, that next year's midterm elections are as good as one. I don't know if there are going to be midterms. I don't... Okay, I'm not going to be a bitch about this. I'll leave it, but, like, I'm really not sure there are going to be midterms. And if there are, I think there are going to be Trump supporters with guns and ICE and local sheriffs, but I repeat myself 3 times there, at polling stations. And there are going to be people, there are going to be Trump supporters, ICE, grabbing people from polling stations and terrorizing people, and it's going to be enormous voter suppression. So no, I don't think the midterm elections are as good as one. Not by a fucking country mile. Absolutely not. And if if the Democratic Party positioned itself in relation to activist groups and organizations and said, we're going to work with these groups and build a broad coalition of left and liberal groups so that we can be a kind of central hub to organizing, a sort of vanguardist strategy even, they probably could win. Not like the elections, which I'm not sure there are going to be, but like they could build power in a way that would be meaningful enough that they're able to, like, I mean, possibly hold those elections, actually, but also, like, just take power in communities because they have cohesively, like, sewed the country together. But they're just the blue wing of the Capital Party. America just has the Capital Party, and it has a red wing and a blue wing, and that's it. What are the right lessons? Please, Mr. Economist, bow your head and say, there's no difference between good things and bad things, you fucking idiot. Tell us what the right lessons are to learn. The first is to focus on the economy and affordability, as Mr. Mamdani, Miss Cheryl, and Miss Spanberger all did. So, firstly, yes, do what he did. Great, you're really doing well at this. The second is to pick candidates who are a good fit for the places where they are running. Yes, that seems to just be true in any election. Sorry, hang on. The second is to pick candidates who are a good fit for the places where they are running. Miss Spanberger worked for the CIA before she entered politics, and Miss Cheryl served as a Navy helicopter pilot. What? What are you talking about? Both are evidence of a patriotism that helps parry Republican attacks about America-hating Democrats. Sure, fine, sure. If you have someone who has an army record, that might give them a boost compared to someone who hasn't. But I don't think we actually need more war criminals in office. And fucking the CIA especially, that's disgusting. But, like, either way. Like, the Democratic Party, it's not just America-hating Democrats, like, these Democrats love transgenders and woke and vegetables. Like, it's also that the Democrats are being painted as being part of the deep state and being spooks. Like, I'm not sure the CIA thing worked to her benefit. But I don't know her, I haven't seen her campaign, whatever. The third is to not run as a defender of the establishment in an era of upheaval. Yeah, fucking no doy, Jesus Christ. New Yorkers probably do not want socialism. How's that then? What? I just need to sit with that one for a minute. New Yorkers probably do not want socialism. If you say so. And Mr. Mamdani will be too constrained by city and state law as well as the laws of arithmetic. Boing. Got him. Fucking got him. Game over. Mr. Mamdani will be too constrained by the laws of arithmetic to give it to them. As a year ago, this election was less an endorsement of a program than another expression of frustration. Landing a blow on the president after a year of introspection will give Democrats relief as they look toward the midterms next year. But when that fades, they will still face the same problems. Their party is associated with policies on immigration, climate change, and race that are far from the views of the voters they need to win power nationwide. This is the Economist endorsing fascism. Sorry, I just need to be super clear on this. Because they do this periodically, it's not that unusual. But it just needs to be pointed right at when it happens. The party is associated with policies on immigration, climate change, and race. Sorry, so you said race twice. That's one. Like one crucial one there is you said race. You said race twice. The policies you are talking about are open borders, a sustainable future, and not being racist. And you're saying that the Democrats are too closely associated with those policies to win when people are furious, rightfully furious, that Trump's goons are coming into their cities, sometimes backed by the literal army, and snatching people off the streets. And you're saying they're too associated with these unpopular policies. It's like, they're not unpopular. What the fuck are you actually talking about? What are you on? What are you smoking? Economist, show me your eyes. What have you taken? Economist, please. Oh my god. But that's fash. That's just fascism, right? Like they're too associated with immigration, caring about the climate, and not being racist to win. Even though they just won a bunch of elections. That's just disgusting. Like, anyway, by choosing a Democratic Socialist as one of their standard bearers, they haven't. The fucking Chuck Schumer wouldn't even endorse him. Democrats have just aggravated that problem. The voters chose him. The Democrats tried their absolute hardest to stop him from getting in. They didn't choose him. The people chose him. Oof. By choosing a Democratic Socialist as one of their standard bearers, Democrats have just aggravated that problem. Mr. Mamdani's joyful campaign made New Yorkers feel good, but his victory could make Republican strategists feel even better. So we just draw back to Volpix's comment that we read earlier about how this plays into the abusive logic, right? Like this is just like, Daddy will be mad, right? You'll make him mad by doing this thing wrong, and that'll be your fault. And it's like, it's not your fault, actually, if an impossibly more powerful party lashes out and punishes you for trying to be freer. Actually, it's just evidence that you need to engage in armed struggle. Actually, if you elect a socialist and the response by the president of your country is to send troops into your city, which, like, that's what all these articles by these liberal slop publications are predicting, that means you need a different army. That just means you need an army on your side. Fucking hell. I hate The Economist. I can never say it enough. I fucking hate The Economist. Okay, so that is... I really am going to take this image to make a new intermission screen, I reckon. I might do it just now, actually. I'm going to go on break. I should be 5 or 10 minutes. I'm going to make myself another cup of tea, and I will see you just after that. If you've been enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using Command TIP. And if you want to support me monthly, you can go to patreon.com/Sophie from Mars. In the meantime, Command TIP is !TIP. And I'm going to put the music back on. Where did it go? There it is. And I'll see you in 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, it's gonna be... Oh. It's gonna be Zuck. There we go. See you shortly. Hey everyone, we're back. It's time for the stream part 2. Zorhando, says Volpix989. Fairthingale says Zoran Yowie hands. Exactly. You understand the vision. You understand. I think I should clarify, like with the Bernie image, that's my stream not live image. It's because he's just a little guy. I think that's really important to say about any part of the electoral left, right? Before anyone says anything about them, you have to understand he's just a little guy. He's just a little guy. He's just a little guy. Okay, we have a few more articles I'd love to look at. I think they're going to be... I'm just looking at the ones we have left to go. I might touch briefly on the remaining ones, because there are 4, and we made through 2 so far, although there was a lot of discussion. I don't really want there to be less discussion, but some of these remaining ones I think are going to be a bit briefer, if not in length, then it's just like... You'll see. Let me just show you the articles. Let me just directly show you the articles. That's the way to go. Aristobear, welcome to the stream. It's nice to have you here. And your message says, I finally made it to a stream. So yes, welcome. Abigail online, hello. Omster says, time makes little guys of us all. That's big. Everyone reflect on that one. Okay, America's plans for a golden dome are dangerously obscure. This one's gonna be annoying. So America wants to have a golden dome like how Israel has the Iron Dome. When was the last time missiles were fired into America? Was it the Revolutionary War? Was it the Mexican War? I don't know. They want the same kind of missiles that there are now, but the Economist wants us to know that America's plans for a Golden Dome are dangerously obscure. Without clarity, the missile shield risks becoming a costly, destabilizing white elephant. Valerie, the lovely Italian, says you either die a little guy or live long enough to become a big woman. Yeah, that's actually you know what? Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to just bring up this one because I wanted to point out framing issues that still are there in liberal slop when of course it's a golden dome. Yeah, exactly, because Trump loves piss, which is the most relatable thing about him, is that he loves piss. Even when the Economist has a good take, the framing of it still brings in some like assumptions and still warps our perception of the world toward liberal slop. So let's have a quick read, quick discussion, move on. It has been almost a year since President Donald Trump signed an executive order promising to build what he then called an Iron Dome for America to shield the country from drones and missiles. The project, whose name has been gordified to Golden Dome, is not as outlandish as it sounds. Missile threats are multiplying. In recent wars, Ukraine, Israel, and India have all demonstrated the value of robust anti-missile defenses that save lives, protect infrastructure, and buy time for leaders to make better decisions. That's what this is for. It's all to buy time for Trump to make better decisions. That's why it's going so well. NB Asher says, I love piss too, just like me, for real, for real. I'm so shocked to hear that another trans femme loves piss. I am really deeply shocked. That was just allowing a moment for all of my shock to process. If anyone said to me that the last missile that landed on US soil was a stone fired from a catapult, I wouldn't ask any further and just accept it as the truth. That's a very good message. That's a very good point. I really, like... Is America expecting to have belligerents such as like Caribbean nations? Maybe it's fear-mongering about Cuba, but that's not actually realistic if like doing serious analysis about like what countries are going to do. Canada, Mexico, like what, you know? Besides which, I have to admit to my own bias. I want anyone who is in a war in with America to be able to hit America with their missiles. TBH. So. Okay. We should get through this. So, but the scope of Mr. Trump's shield remains dangerously vague. If that does not change, yeah, I mean, it's not going to happen. It's just one of these things he signs, and then, like, all of his fans think that America has a golden dome now the next day, and everyone else is like, no, that was nonsense. That was always nonsense. If that does not change, it could simply become a costly and destabilizing white elephant. What is known about the Golden Dome? It includes many things that already exist, such as anti-missile interceptors in Alaska and California, as well as Patriot batteries similar to the ones protecting Ukraine today. It also includes many things that were already in the works before Mr. Trump returned to the White House, such as efforts to build sensors that can track missiles, interceptors that can destroy those projectiles, and software to stitch that all together. Okay. Is that not all very, like, quite clear? I don't really... Does that need explaining? NB Asher says, TBH, I think that it is just a measure to create demand because your in-country weapon sales aren't enough to justify your amount of military... Yeah. That's a pretty good read. There are some new bits, too. The most important is the commitment to build space-based interceptors, SBIs, which are small missiles carried aboard satellites in low Earth orbit. Jesus Christ. I mean, it is the logical endpoint of how, oh my goodness, hey Zelda, thank you for another tip. £28.06. I'm looking forward to hearing what the 10-minute joke is, so I'm... I'm looking forward to hearing what the 10-minute joke is, TBH. So I'm hitting that halfway point. We are now at £175. Thank you so much to Hey Zelda, and yes, we are now getting closer to the 10-minute long joke. I really hope that you all will like it when I actually do it. Now that we're getting closer, I'm a little bit nervous, but it's a trusty one. As I said, anyone watching who knows me in real life has at some point seen this joke, some people multiple times, and can vouch that my first 10-minute joke is just evergreen, and my second one is just a groaner. But that's life. Okay, we're reading SBIs. Yeah, this is the logical conclusion of so much of what's going on in the aerospace industry, right? Like, we know that, like, weapons contractors work with NASA. Like, someone I know works with the Canadian Space Agency. I was just asking her, like, today about, like, do you have to deal with weapons guys a bunch? And she was talking about, like, kind of how many hops away from, like, Northrop Grumman she is at any moment. And it's just like, yes, the building space weapons is the natural... Oop. Hi, Beck. The rest of the article isn't dedicated to why America having missiles in space is a horrifying concept. It's a very good example of our lead buried in deep, deep slop. Absolutely. Yeah, it's the natural conclusion of the aerospace industry being so full of arms companies. Like, of course they want to build weapons in space. Is it a good idea? Of course they want to. But is it a good idea? Well, they want to, and they're there, and they've been working together for a long time, and it's just right that they... Right, but is it a good idea? Right? Like, this is just the kind of, like, inevitable, without serious intervention, consequences of trying... Of having, like... your space exploration be so just, like, deeply, deeply tied at every level to... unthinkable horrors against mankind. Alright, back on this. The idea is that a defender can destroy a missile as it is taking off when its red-hot plume is easier to spot, rather than when a small warhead is streaking rapidly through space. Ronald Reagan and HW toyed with the idea as part of their missile defense initiatives in the 1980s, though the scheme fizzled out. The problem with Mr. Trump's plan is that it's still unclear what Golden Dome is actually supposed to do. Will it modestly improve America's ability to shoot down drones and handfuls of conventional cruise missiles fired by China towards military bases in the continental United States during a war over Taiwan? Will it parry small salvos of warheads launched by a second-tier nuclear power like North Korea? Or will it block hundreds of Russian and Chinese warheads in a full-blown nuclear exchange, neutralizing their ability to threaten America's experience? I mean, none of those, right? Like, it's just not any of those, because, like, they're not... I mean, that's their point. That's their point as well. All right. The answers to these questions matter greatly. Oh, okay, I thought they were making this point as well, that this was just gibberish. Okay, experts calculate. Aristobear here says, why would we even want a war with China? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just like, all of these are nonsensical hypotheticals. And I thought that that was the Economist's point. But they were saying they need to be clearer about what their scope is. And it's just like, no, they need to not do that thing at all. That's a complete nonsense. And putting any resources towards it is gibberish. And if they were to successfully do it, absolutely horrifying. So just like lose, 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 lose. The answers to these questions matter greatly. Experts calculate that a smallish Golden Dome focused on parrying small incoming salvos might cost just over $250 billion over 20 years, a modest sum by the standards of America's annual defense spending. But a full-fat version with tens of thousands of SBIs in orbit, a key factor driving up cost, could run up to $3.6 trillion, a vast sum that would cannibalize America's armed forces. That would not only be wasteful, but it might also induce adversaries to expand their own arsenals more than they otherwise would. A degree of mutual vulnerability is an inherent part of stable nuclear deterrence. B-Rat says a bunch of Trump's friends will make billions of contractor money and that's about it. Yeah, I mean, and they won't do anything with it either. Like, the public-private partnership is already, like, such an evil thing that has done so much damage in the world. But in the Trump era, like especially in the Trump 2 era, the public-private partnership is like, we've figured out a name for the reason I'm giving you, what do they say, $3.6 trillion, but you don't have to do anything with it. I'm just giving you $3.6 trillion, and like, that's for being a cool guy. That's just for being a cool guy. Not only wasteful, induce adversary. Okay. Mr. Trump needs to set out what he aims to achieve with Golden Dome in broad terms beyond his airy promises of blanket protection on the cheap. He should choose a modest expansion in the number of ground-based interceptors already operating in Alaska and California, provided that the system gets better at telling apart decoys from real warheads. That should occur alongside an investment in space-based sensors that can trap cruise missiles and hypersonic gliders more effectively. There is bipartisan support in America for both steps. Exotic SBIs to zap missiles can wait. Missile defense is always a balance. What? Too little and your country is dangerously vulnerable. What are you, like... Sorry. More than ever in an age when even militia groups like the Houthis in Yemen can operate ballistic missiles of extraordinary range. Well, haven't you just, like, immediately shown the bullshit at the heart of all of this? Because Israel is a country surrounded by people who will fire missiles at them and do all the time. America is not surrounded by, like, immediate armed belligerents. Like, not for now, anyway. Even militia groups like the Houthis in Yemen can operate ballistic missiles of extraordinary range. Too much, and you provoke an arms race in which the attacker is likely to have a cost advantage. Mr. Trump is right to shore up America's defenses. Okay. But he should resist the temptation to gold plate the Golden Dome. Okay, so... I guess I thought that this would... I guess I made the mistake with this one of thinking that it was going to just be a lot more basically human. But obviously economists love defense spending and love war because it's just more money moving around, and they are the money toucher. They will touch your money. Volpix989 says, I wish I could send Sophie from Mars trillions of dollars for being a cool girl, but unfortunately all I can do is pay for the stream if I've been enjoying the stream by subscribing or cheering or using command donate. Very close, Volpix. It's command tip. Or subscribing to Sophie on Patreon. Thank you, I really appreciate that. In fact, let me clarify. It's actually exclamation point TIP, like that in the chat. Prince Infidel says, maybe if the Canadians would step up. Bomb America now. Mark Carney, come on. NB Asher says, the dangerous Houthis, America is at the brink of annihilation if not building missile defense systems into every public toilet. Yeah, that's exactly like, I don't know. Yes, I wanted to analyze that article as like, here's the Economist saying that this is a stupid idea, so let's look at how they've said it's a stupid idea, and oh my goodness. Fairthingale has tipped £2 and says, I've been wondering why the rag calls everyone Mr. and Miss. I've decided that it's the same way that a certain type of school has their staff talk to kids. Well, Mr. Trump, what would you like to share with the class? Yes. Yeah, the Economist, I think, like, as well as them not naming their authors, then having, I mean, every publication has some amount of like standard for how they refer to people. I remember when I was interviewed in the Rolling Stone, when they said my full name at some point at the start and then were saying McAllister over and over again, I was like, this feels a bit weird. Can you say Sophie? Because I like that I'm Sophie. Can you say Sophie? And the person, the journalist was like, I'm sorry, it's just the style, and like the editor's very strict about this. Princess Beck Knight 666 says, I'm constantly pushing my local politicians to bomb America. I'm doing my part. Thank you, Beck. We all really appreciate that. Middle-earth Marxist says, okay, so earlier, Middle-earth Marxist said the Epstein anonymist or something like that. And I said, I can't actually glean what allegation you are making about the Economist earlier. They're back with a clarification. All Economist articles are written by AI Jeffrey Epstein. They've done a singularity on Jeffrey Epstein. This is like the thing I was saying on that Red Planet bonus episode. It's the brass eye bit about we've sent a pedophile to space prison, we've fired him into space, and then we discovered that there's a 6-year-old boy on board. A spokesperson from NASA said this is the one thing we didn't want to happen. It's the same with AI. They're going to create an AI Jeffrey Epstein, and then they'll discover that they've accidentally created a sentient AI child in the same program with him. And that's the Economist. That's what Middle-earth Marxists is saying. I'm not saying it. I'm just reading chat. Okay, so I thought this article was going to be the Economist saying this is obviously a stupid idea, and I just underestimated their, I guess, willingness to go along with the gibberish, like their willingness to just like pretend like this makes any kind of sense whatsoever. Okay. What that article adds up to, I would say, is, I would categorize it fairly quickly. It's like the British Empire had a left wing, right, in Parliament. Like, there were people who were pushing for ultimate domination through pure, like, unrestrained bloodlust all the way through the progress of the British Empire. And then there was a left wing. And they broadly were not saying we should end the empire, obviously. They were people who, as the abolition of slavery became more successful as a political campaign and its popularity became obvious, they cottoned onto that and became abolitionists, right? But for the most part, like, what they existed to do was be like the gatekeeper, the valve, mediating how much the people's voice makes it through into the empire's supposed democracy. And what they achieved the whole way through was legalizing the actions of the empire, just making it all carefully within the guidelines and according to regulation. That's what this is, right? Just like Trump needs to be realistic about how the Golden Dome is created. Otherwise, it won't go well. And it's just like, I don't want it to go well, and no one should want it to go well, because it's just an evil thing. Okay. We're going to look at 3 more articles. We've got 3 to go. Number 1 is going to be, I'm just choosing, I got 2 Brit-coded, 2 Brit-bonga articles. This one seems like probably a good follow-up to that one where they were endorsing fascism, because unlike that one where they were endorsing fascism, in this one... Oh, they're endorsing fascism. Sorry, my mistake. Nigel Farage's newfound fiscal prudence is welcome if unproven. Britain's leading populist says he won't cut taxes dramatically after all. Hermeneutics says that the Hitler car is inside the Epstein-Larity. No, I need to put my foot down on this. The Hitler car is real. Okay, I've said my piece now. We can carry on. Okay. Britain's leading populist says he won't cut taxes dramatically after all. 2 politicians tried to present themselves this week as the answer to Britain's economic malaise. One was Nigel Farage, leader of the populist right Reform UK party, whose previous economic plans were so unrealistic they would, The Economist calculated. I love them referring to themselves in the third person, because in reality it's probably one author, the author of this article, talking about something that the author of a different Economist article said, but you're not allowed to name the authors. But it just gives The Economist this like dissociative quality where it's just saying, someone dressed me this morning. That would, the Economist calculated, be more expensive than Liz Truss's catastrophic mini-budget of 2022. The other was Rachel Reeves, the Labour Chancellor, whose party was elected on a promise of bringing sense and competence, and which has struggled to supply much of either. Both summoned the press to signal their U-turn. Mr. Farage told his audience that the economy was in such straits that he could no longer promise to slash taxes. For a man whose pledges had included tax cuts worth an annual £100 billion, $131 billion, and by our calculations as much as £190 billion, 5% of GDP, that is a near-perfect reversal. Miss Reeves hinted that she would raise... Sorry, I just realised that it's actually meant to be Ms. I'm going to try and correct on that. Ms. Reeves hinted that she would raise income tax on November 26th. This is defensible, but is something her government has sworn it would not do. It also swore not to raise VAT or national insurance contributions. Quote, "Each of us must do our bit," she said. But she gave no indication of doing certain hard things herself, such as breaking the triple lock, an expensive escalator for state pensions, which would offset the need to tax working people. Or not being a criminal landlord. I don't know if people saw this, but Rachel Reeves is in hot water at the moment because she's just literally like illegally been letting a property in Southwark, by the way, which like that spooks me out. I'm like, fucking Rachel Reeves, like her family home is like here. Anyway. For once, Mr. Farage seems to be reckoning with hard truths. "We are being mature, we are being sensible, and we are not over-promising," he told the audience with his most mature and sensible-looking face. What? Okay. He still wants to cut taxes, but only when the economy is ready. In questions, he even said he did not rule out breaking the triple lock. Realizing that voters are fed up with politicians who keep breaking promises, he promised no more promises. Ms. Reeves, by contrast, is paying a heavy price for failing to do in opposition what Mr. Farage is now doing. Instead, as power came within its grasp, Labour promised voters the impossible: jam for almost everyone and no pain for ordinary working people. So they're now punishing them with the legacy of Corbyn, because jam means socialism, I guess. It is an approach to public finances that has taken hold of the party. Only if growth had been unexpectedly strong or if interest rates had tanked could she have got away with it. By contrast, Mr. Farage's change of tone is a welcome signal. There are still plenty of reasons to worry that a reform government might damage Britain, But, yay! Yay! There are plenty of reasons Tory reform government might damage Britain. If reform gets in, I probably have to leave the country. I'm just, like, to be clear about my position in this, like, it's going to be so dangerous for trans people, it's going to be fucking unreal. Might damage Britain. But if the country is going to be run by populist right-wingers, then it's better to be run by populist right-wingers who are not spoiling for an unwinnable fight with the bond market. I hate The Economist so fucking much. How would I even put into words how much I hate The Economist? I'll use their words. Okay, let's just read their words. Mr. Farage has a long history of opportunism. If he wants voters to believe he is serious about his new role as Captain Sensible, he will now also strike through other daft economic ideas. These include threats by his deputy leader to tear up private contracts with renewable energy suppliers and talk that reform would erode the independence of the Bank of England and the Office of Budgetary Responsibility, a fiscal watchdog, as Donald Trump has tried with the Federal Reserve. Whew, okay. The lesson from this week is that Mr. Farage is deadly serious about winning power. Asked to choose between fiscal credibility and fiscal populism, he has chosen credibility as the surer route to Downing Street. That shows something important about the electorate. Britons remember Ms. Truss and her debacle. The fact that any leader who aspires to office must prove they will not repeat her mistakes says more about voters than about reform. Given the state of the economy, that is something to be grateful for. The state of the economy is a fascinating one, like deeply fascinating one, because in another article I want to read you tonight, they they just talk about like the economy and the stock market being completely fucking divorced from each other in a way that like people have never say usually. Like it's always usually about how well the stock market is doing. State of the economy here, they're referencing the cost of living. Like, it's just a fucking magic act to them. They're just juggling constantly. Like, how are we supposed to take this seriously if you can't, Mickey Kiki says, first time in chat, hello, welcome to the chat, says, I'm just surprised to hear people remember Liz Truss. She's, like, MAGA now. She's gone, like, hardline transphobe MAGA. It's fucking intense. Which I guess is the only thing left for you if you're, like, the shortest-lived Conservative Prime Minister ever. All this article amounts to is The Economist giving Nigel Farage their blessing. This is just The Economist uncomplicatedly endorsing fascism. Like, they're just saying, we've looked at the numbers, and we think it's really sensible economic policy. Like, we've just seen from the other pieces, like, especially the Mamdani Cope, like, that they don't actually have a very good grasp on like what is popular with people or what is good economic policy. I mean, of course not. They exist to defend against socialism. But like, if you can see through the like illusion of expertise that The Economist wants to bring to things, right? The mystification of the elite science of economics into this unknowable thing that like, oh yeah, there are technical reasons you can't make public transport free. There are technical reasons why you can't give the NHS more money because there's no magic money tree. But then you have to do a study to prove that if people are more healthy, then the economy will work better. It's like, firstly, that's just obvious. Like, actually, everyone just understands that just fine. That's just fucking obvious. And secondly, it's a moral good. Let me just back up. What if we were honest that we're having moral conversations here? Like, I think the Chapeau Trap House guy is very divisive among leftists for good reasons. One of them, however, puts it very succinctly that economics is applied moral philosophy. And I think that's so fucking deeply true, right? Like that it's applied moral philosophy. Because money is fake. They made up money and they keep making it up and they make more whenever they want. Money is fucking fake. The whole thing is fucking fake and invented by these, how have I put it in my stream title? Evil warlocks, rizzless warlocks. Like this is, oh gosh. All this amounts to is The Economist endorsing Farage. Like, it's just making it very clear in this article that it doesn't have any problem with Farage as for being a fascist. And of course it doesn't, because he'll make the trains run on time, right? That's the whole idea. Now that he's Captain Sensible, it's all okay, because he's going to be really responsible with stuff as he's making life unlivable for people, makes a UK equivalent of Trump's like ICE raids, like steps up immigration deportations, and is horrible to women and like wrecks the UK's chances of being carbon neutral. All of this shit. Anyway, it just amounts to The Economist endorsing fascism more and more openly, as it must, because if it exists to promote free market economics in a time when the only way out of the crises we're facing is socialism, it's going to just have to become more and more and more and more and more fascist. That's the way it works. The Economist itself is like it's fun how well it positions itself as also just being a social organism. Like, The Economist is anonymized, right? Like, we're all all the authors are anonymized. We don't know who wrote which article. There is a stated mission to the whole publication, and also the whole publication is drawn by economic forces. As much as it claims to understand them, it's drawn by economic forces into these hideous shapes like this, where it's endorsing fascism. Okay, we're going to read another article. We've got 2 more articles to go, and then we're wrapping up for the night. After this stream, the next time you'll see me is on Sunday on Red Planet. Please be there. If people don't know about Red Planet, it is a live recorded podcast where we talk about the news. It's me and DJ Mule and Tim from Conquest of Dread. We chat about the news from a revolutionary communist perspective. Sometimes we talk to activists and organizers about what they do and how they do it and how you can do it as well. I think hopefully we're going to have someone from Just Stop Oil on sometime soon. That'll be on Sunday. It is at 8 p.m. UK time, and you really, really should tune in. I will plug that again before we end. We've got 2 more articles to go. If you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command TIP. That's !TIP. If you're watching the VOD. If you're doing something at the moment like cleaning, doing dishes, maybe tidying, what other background activities? Do people listen to YouTube videos at the gym? You might be driving. If you're driving, just focus on that, please. If you're doing some kind of project, you might be drawing. I know some people like to draw and listen to my streams. Hi, hello. I'd like your attention for a moment. Please consider paying for the VOD if you're enjoying the VOD. You can go to my Patreon and support me there, patreon.com/Sophie from Mars. If you already do, thanks so much. Let's continue with the stream. And here we go. How the exasperating, indispensable BBC must change. Chat, who is familiar with what's going on with the BBC? Who here has heard about the BBC and the drama this week? Because if you haven't heard about it, if everyone in chat is mystified by this, I probably need to catch you up a little bit. We're going to be reading How the Exasperating, Indispensable BBC Must Change, with the subtitle, Its Latest Crisis Needs to Spur Reforms to Bolster the News Division. B-Rat says, what is it this time? Lorcan says, I hear they're bringing back Doctor Who in 2027. That's not the crisis, but that's... And Paul McGann might be in it. Is that true? Is that actually true? Hang on a second. Look, and I think you're telling fibs. I don't see any of this. Mid-left Marxists guess at what's wrong with the BBC. They went woke by forgetting to hate trans and Palestinian people for 6 seconds one night 3 years ago. Close. Pretty close. You're pretty close. That one's the closest guess so far. NB Asher says, didn't Trump moan a little too annoyed and it instantly led to the BBC heads resigning? Yes, there you go. So, and Morgana says, is it the Trump edit of his speech before January 6th? Yes. So there was a Panorama, which is a British documentary series, investigative journalism, made by the BBC. There was a Panorama documentary that was talking about Trump at one point and showed clips of him that people have said are edited unfairly and out of context and misrepresent what he's saying. There were no complaints about them at the time when they aired, and they aired a year ago. There's been a complaint that someone who was interviewed in something to do with Palestine, their father is in Hamas, which, like, okay. Okay. The BBC has, like, platformed Israelis who is, the side doing a genocide, massively disproportionately more than Palestinians. Like, so much more. They care so much more about the voices of Israelis, who are the ones doing a modern Holocaust, than the voices of Palestinians. But that was apparently a huge deal. So that's, I think that Middle-earth Marxist description, they went woke by forgetting to hate trans Palestinian people for 6 seconds one night 3 years ago, is a pretty good summary, to be honest. So Trump threatened to sue... threatened a pretty girl texted me and I lost my cool. Okay. Trump threatened $1 billion lawsuit, which, like, would absolutely fuck up the BBC if that happened. But, like, first of all, would he have any success with that lawsuit? I seriously doubt it. Second of all, no one cared about it in the first place. He wouldn't be able to, like, allege damages. There were no complaints. People didn't notice until a year later. Third of all, why isn't fucking Keir Starmer, that spineless wet loser, like, saying something about the American president threatening to sue our national broadcaster for $1 billion? Like, and all in all, it just becomes very obvious that the actual point is just to force it's regime change, but to a broadcaster rather than a country. All right, let's have a read of it. So here we go. Its latest crisis needs to spur reforms to bolster its news division, and what's happened here is the BBC, already very right-wing, very obviously pro-Israel, anti-trans, massively inflating problems of migration and all this stuff, right, has just had a further right coup. Because, like, this is the way that fascists push their stuff, is in, successive ideological overturning, mini little revolutions in the institutions that they've captured. This guy isn't right-wing enough. No, that guy isn't right-wing enough either. That guy isn't right-wing enough. We need to keep going. We need more and more and more. Oh, pardon me. I drank my tea too fast. All right. Most of Donald Trump's broadsides against the news media are ridiculous, but his anger over a BBC documentary about him that aired last year is justified, says the Economist. So that's cool. Yay. Just like, okay, cool, great. I guess nothing means anything. What the fuck are you talking about? An episode of Panorama, a venerable current affairs show, spliced together two unrelated remarks by Mr. Trump to create what looked like a call for violence on January 6th, 2021. Trump did want the thing that happened. He wanted it to go further. If it had succeeded, he would have been proud of it publicly. Because it wasn't, he was proud of it quietly until he became president, and then he pardoned all the rioters. Like, what are you talking about? It doesn't even... in the grand scheme In the fucking cosmic scale, does it matter so much that you represent Trump as having said out loud with his mouth, I think you should all do violence, instead of sorry, Lorcan has just tagged me in the Patreon Discord with I'll just show it. With this is the vibe to go for with the Mamdani waiting screen. We already have a Mamdani waiting screen, it's here. I think I should maybe edit so that it has more, like, hellish vibes. I think maybe he should be, like, more sinister, if I can make that possible. Maybe very, very, like, low opacity. I'll have, like a demon or something, like, lurking in the background. Anyway, while I was on break, so now I'm, like, 2 tangents off of the topic completely. This sucks. While I was on break, I also remembered that I have the RFK record scratch intermission screen, which fucking rocks. Like, this picture I found of RFK, how fucking good is that? That's like... You're probably wondering how I wound up here. Well, let me tell you about a night in Dallas when my uncle was going for a drive. What the fuck is this? Anyway, we were reading the article. So I need to get more use of the RFK one, is my point, because I've been too excited about Ezra Klein saying that he doesn't know what his role is anymore. So I've been using that as my default, but I'm gonna try and keep RFK as a top spot there. Volpix989 says, Sophie, did you see the picture of Trump standing off to the side while someone faints in the Oval Office? I saw the clip of that. Yeah, that was fucking wacky. That was absolutely nuts. People were saying in that, by the way, that RFK runs away and that's a problem. And I just have to be real about, like, I really don't want to hand it to the guy over, like, anything. And at the same time, if my uncle and then my dad had both been killed while in elected office, and then I was in elected office, and then someone went down, there would be a me-shaped hole in the wall of the Oval Office. Like, you couldn't pay me enough to stay in that room. Like, I would be, everything in my brain and body would be saying, like, it's happening, it's happening, it's happening, it's happening. Like, and if my boss as well had been shot on the campaign trail, like, I just don't, like, let him live. Like, maybe edit it to have the fucking Hanna-Barbera sound going on. You know the one that's like the, steel pan or whatever that they play when people run away. It was funny as hell. Anyway, Mule says, I don't think it was a problem. I think it was funny. He clearly was running away from the Grim Reaper. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Suggestions for the Zoran intermission screen. Stalin mustache. Yeah, I like it. With curls at the end, so it's more old-timey silent movie villainous. It's good. Yes, Mule, yes. Scooby-Doo running away Foley. That's exactly it. It's the I'm sure I can get on YouTube real fast. Hang on. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. We need RFK leaving the RFK Trump fainting Oval Office. Is that?
It was a jaw.
I don't need someone's narration. I'm just seeing if the footage is right before I attempt the bit. Yeah, it's good as fuck. It's just good as fuck. Alright, hang on a second. Put that screen over there. This one. Alright. And then... yeah, that's it. That's it. That's exactly it. That's what I needed. Okay, cool. That's just it. Like, I can't fault him for it. It's just that. Like, it's just that, though. That's what's so funny about it. All right. But we are going back to Total Energy's Wikipedia page. No, we're going back to... Oh, spoiler for the last article. We're going back to the BBC has to change. Right. Aristobert saying, clip it. Yes, absolutely. Middle-earth Marxist saying, cheese it, Scoob! Fake news. Okay. It was an egregious case of what America's president likes to call fake news. See, The Economist is actually just quite explicitly far right. Like maybe I should actually be trying to like give up on it as a liberal slop, because I'm not even sure they would, except in the like free market economics sense, like call themselves liberal anymore. I think some people might be fooled into it. Like my wife recently described it as like The Economist is for people who think they're reading the Financial Times, or people who like want to think of themselves as someone who might read the Financial Times, but they don't want facts about the economy. They want things to say about the economy to their friends. People discussing the Patreon in the chat here. Prince Infidel says, if you're a filthy Patreon sub or a blessed Patreon sub, I don't know the stance on that. It's blessed for sure. As Jenny Azoth says, God bless subs, everyone. Absolutely. Where are we? The stitch-up of Mr. Trump follows a string of editorial missteps. In February, a BBC documentary about Gaza neglected to mention that the 13-year-old narrator's father was a Hamas official. What the fuck are you talking about? Prince Infidel, thank you for gifting a sub to NB Asher. Really appreciate that. A documentary about Gaza neglected to mention that the 13-year-old narrator's father was a Hamas official. Sorry, why the fuck does that matter on any planet? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, the documentary about an ongoing genocide interviewed a child. There was a child talking, and they didn't tell you that that child's dad is in the government of the place. Like, what are you talking about? Economist, what have you taken? Where are your friends? Do you know the way home? Economist, please. Answer me if you can, Economist. In June, it broadcast a live... That's pretty important, isn't it? That one's pretty important, actually. In June, it broadcast a live Glastonbury performance featuring calls for the deaths of Israeli soldiers. Okay, so many levels to this. Soldiers, that's their job. Sorry, Israeli, L plus Israeli plus soldier equals deaths to, they are the ones doing a fucking genocide. Point 4, it was live. Point 5, it was a real thing that happened, and they're broadcasting a performance, and the thing happened at the performance. That's not, even if you disagree with it, that's just not, that's not the fucking BBC's fault, is it? Mule says, wait, you mean legitimate military targets? Yeah. It's just so fucking unhinged. The BBC's boss, Tim Davie, was right to quit this week. When The Economist is destroyed, and it is no more, my people will be free. Do I mean trans people? Do I mean leftists? Do I mean the working class? Women? Little kittens? Or any group that I'm in? It's unclear. My people, the most core people of my people, the VOD watchers. We will be free. Okay. And at that, and that may not be the end of it. Mr. Trump is threatening to sue for $1 billion. Mr. Trump has less leverage over the BBC than he has over American broadcasters he's previously shaken down. But the BBC's if we're talking about what, like Jimmy Kimmel, like they reversed that immediately. So Princess Beck Knight says all of the above. Yes, I am definitely speaking to the little kittens watching. But the BBC's critics at home are using the crisis to renew calls to gut the corporation. Their central accusation is one of bias. BBC's journalism is far from corrupt, as Mr. Trump claims, and it makes a better stab at political balance than many European public service broadcasters, whose audiences tend to skew left. Yeah, I think I have to just discount The Economist as something that even consider itself liberal. They're just a bunch of fash. They're just a bunch of fash who are, getting away with presenting themselves as, rational experts in the field of economics. This is why I hate The Economist so much, is because they do, they get away with this, legitimation of themselves, and their actual ideology and what they're actually advocating for is unthinkable and inhuman. And they're just on the wrong side of history as firmly as they could possibly be. But there is some truth to the accusation of cultural slant. Age and region have replaced social class as the main political divides in Britain, making it harder than ever for a young, London-based organisation to reflect the country's attitudes. The headquarters is in Manchester! What are you talking about? They moved it. I know there's a lot of the BBC operations in London, but they moved it, didn't they? Am I making that up? Did it not happen? 1 second. BBC headquarters. Did they move it? Mule, do you know? Is it still Broadcasting House? Because they were definitely talking about... Okay, alright. It's still Broadcasting House, apparently. But, young, what's that about? What? In London, it's an international organisation that's headquartered around the country. Alright, I need to get back to this on screen. Here it is. Young, London-based organisation to reflect the country's attitudes. But backing up a second, age and region have replaced social class as the main political divides in Britain. The region one is not as simple as London and not London, although everyone outside London hates London and they should. That's completely legitimate. Mule says there are offices and studios in Glasgow, Cardiff, Manchester, London, etc. Yeah, everywhere, just all over. Princess Beck Knight 666 says, I wonder what kind of divided age and geographic location might be a good indicator of... Right, this is the thing I wanted to say. Age and region have replaced social class as the main political divides in Britain. You wish, Economist. Cunt, you fucking wish. Dickhead, you fucking wish. That would be so good for them if political class was completely obfuscated and no one could see it whatsoever. They're describing a fanfic scenario. They're describing their ultimate win scenario. Social class is completely invisible as a divide in... No, fuck off. Fuck off, sorry. Social class is the underpinning and incredibly prominent divide in British politics. Classism is almost nowhere more naked than Britain. It's so fucking outright. And if it had been, if it has been successfully obfuscated to a lot of people, that is through manipulation by the ruling class. And in terms of the actual conflict going on, the contradictions are heightening all the fucking time. Right? The Green Party is making massive gains right now, being openly eco-socialist, pro-trans, because they're talking sense. And The Economist here would just say, well, it's just among young voters. And it's just yeah, because older people aren't savvy to the ways that you motherfuckers are just brazenly and shamelessly lying. Anyway, right. If you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. The stream, it's just a scream now. If you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. Let's get through the rest of this dog-ass article. Young London-based organisation, shut the fuck up, that's just a lie. Surveys show that right-wing Britons are less happy with the BBC than centrists and left-wingers. Yeah, because they've been watching GB News. They have a 24-hour news channel they can watch. They actually have several, because they have like Fox as well, Sky as well, that will pander to their genocidal anti-migrant, like fever pitch racism. And they're like, country back, like wrapped in the St. George's Cross, sunburned tall fuck, drunk at 11 a.m. Like, it's just like... They have several 24-hour news cycle channels where they can exist in the reality they want to exist in, and the BBC tries to have some kind of responsibility to reality. It fails catastrophically at that. The Economist doesn't even try anymore. That's really cool. And so yeah, the right wing are more mad about it. Should the news... This is a big question for everyone, so maybe let's go zoom in, right? Let's really just ponder this one. Should the news tell the truth? Now, it's a big question, so everyone in chat, take your time. VOD watchers, I know you're going to write quite a long comment for this one. Should the news tell the truth? What The Economist is pointing out here is that right-wingers are angry. Sorry, the next sentence, I should have read it out, is, since everyone has to pay for the BBC, that disparity is a problem. Right-wingers are more angry than centrists and left-wingers about the BBC. So the BBC should change to be more right-wing, because right-wingers are angry about it. If a guy gets in the Hitler car and he's travelling 88 miles an hour like the car from Back to the Future, so he exists across all of the fourth dimension and he's the maddest he's ever been, should the news still tell the truth? That's the riddle that The Economist has for us. If Nigel Farage, with sensible economic policies, is travelling 88 miles an hour in the DeLorean, but it's also the Hitler car, and he goes zoop, disappears, and he's across all of the fourth dimension for a singular moment, and he's the maddest he's ever been. He's saying every slur. Does it make a sound? And furthermore, should the news tell the truth? These are real head scratches. I will let you percolate on them for the rest of the stream. Let's carry on with the article. Much of the criticism of the corporation is led by people whose preferred solution would be to get rid of it. They would be making a huge mistake. The BBC is one of the world's biggest sources of original reporting. At a time when newspapers are withering and television is being swallowed by streamers... Sorry, that was gross. Like Netflix that don't do news, a future with a smaller or non-existent BBC News would be one in which less about the world was known. Yeah, go fucking figure. The BBC provides what America sorely lacks, a central repository for fact. This isn't the... I say this as an epistemologist. I've thought about this really hard for a really long time. This isn't the core problem. At the same time, it plays an outsized role in debunking fake news with services like Verify. Such work has seldom been more necessary. The BBC has even greater value abroad, where it is a source of soft power. Quiet part loud. Where it is a source of soft power for Britain and a standard bearer for liberal values more broadly. Never mind, everyone. I am keeping The Economist in liberal slop. They self-describe as liberals. They're saying that liberal values are good. They're talking in favour of liberal values. Hooray! Fuck's sake. America has foolishly tried to silence the Voice of America and cut its aid to foreign news outlets, just as China, Russia, and others pour resources into spreading their authoritarian ideas around the world. Holy shit. As Economist articles go, this one is pretty fucking... This one has clicked the seatbelt in place. This one is firmly in the Hitler car. Okay. The 5 most followed news pages on Facebook are run by Chinese outlets. Ooh, oh no, be scared, it's China! China is the most populous country on Earth. It's just like... The 5 most followed pages on Facebook are run by Chinese outlets. It's the most populous country on Earth. What do you want? What kind of world do you want, Economist? BBC's page is 6th. Sorry, is that not completely indicative of the BBC having, like, quite significant power? Cutting back at this moment would be an act of self-harm. Yes, Britain, die, bitch. Alright. Back to it. That is why the BBC should be reimagined to focus on the essential public service output that the market does not provide. In the streaming age, yay, streaming! I'm a professional streamer! Audiences are spoilt for choice when it comes to entertainment, from Disney Plus to YouTube. Don't forget Twitch. Don't forget to subscribe and share and donate directly using Command Tip. Amid such abundance, it is absurd that Britons are forced to pay for BBC shows such as Strictly Come Dancing. Better to break off the BBC's... Now here they've made a really serious misstep, because the same GB News viewers, who are 103 years old, who love GB News, they love Richard Tice. By the way, I met Richard Tice once. I wound him up, I clowned on him so bad he had to get in a taxi and run away. It was really fun. Those same people who are 103 and, like, Richard Tice has convinced them that there are immigrants living in their walls, those people would turn the gun on you in the country Bach race war if you said we're going to cancel Strictly Come Dancing. Like, I'm so serious about this. The Economist has made a fatal misstep here. Better to break off the BBC's entertainment arm into an opt-in service and bolster its vital news operation with a stable source of arm's-length public funding, whether from a licence fee or general taxation. A more sharply focused BBC would be better equipped to navigate a dizzyingly fast-evolving media landscape. The corporation has been slowed down by bureaucratic inertia and a cumbersome governance structure. A shake-up might usefully include replacing its warring top brass with people who are interested in improving the BBC's coverage rather than merely defending or sabotaging it. A strong BBC is good for Britain and the world. Did I tell you all, chat? Did I already tell you that my new, like, vocal stim, like, my new, echolalia, just, like, the thing that's the sound that's, like, just lodged between the lobes of my brain and can't get out is Keir Starmer saying Deus Vult. Like, it just... This here, a strong BBC is good for Britain and the world. Like, come on now. A strong BBC is good for Britain and the world. Horrid. Okay. And the last sentence says, a clumsy one will become a liability. So, evil article. Evil article summoned through a blood ritual. Evil article written by a demon. Evil article in the Hitler car saying every slur. What did everyone think of the article? Do we have any thoughts? Let me know in chat. My main thought here is there was no attempt there to present themselves as liberal centrists, except in kind of lampshading the right-wing view as like a matter of data. Like, my main thought is that they Omnister says that line is some Children of Men shit. Yes. That's incredibly real. They're just calling for the BBC to be nakedly more right-wing. And that's evil. That's just evil. They're quite explicit that it's soft power. DJ Mule says, just a bit on the nose, really. Yeah, just quiet part loud. Yeah, just a bit evil with that one, really. Is it a struggling for relevance? Is that when you become more fashy? Is it trying to convince themselves that they have to talk in terms of where power is, so they become more fashy? Don't really care. Don't really care very much, to be honest. What kind of leads the same place if you think about it. Ultimately, just leads to the same conclusion, which is them endorsing fascism. It's a bit cool, isn't it? That's what you want. That's what you want to see from The Economist. Just endorsing fascism. What's the bit now, then? Is it the Economist logo upside down? Maybe it's the Economist logo upside down. Let's just get that there. And then just for... Oh, where's that then? Alright then, just gonna have to fill in all these one by one. Gave me a PNG when I wasn't expecting it. They gave me a PNG, folks, they gave me a PNG. We asked them for a nice glossy JPEG. Fine American-made JPEG, and they wouldn't give it to us. They wanted to make a upside-down Economist logo like they're... like it's hanging from the petrol station, like Benito Mussolini. Benito Mussolini. Bella ciao, that's what they're saying. They're saying, I'm off to fight Benito Mussolini. And he's hanging upside down from the petrol station, and that's what we wanted to show everyone, but unfortunately they gave us a JPEG. Not a JPEG, not the JPEG we asked for, a PNG, transparent PNG, transparent background, transparent text. Very sad, very weak. Upside down Economist. Upside down Economist logo. That's what it is. That's what it is, folks. That's what it's all about. Where is my final article? Where is my final article? Where has it gone? Where is it? I have to go my history. God, that was an evil article. That just really was just a quite evil article, actually. Just trying to kind of sit with that one for a bit. Like, just a bit evil, really. Just one of those. Just kind of one of those, really. Hermeneutic says, you give Trump too much credit, he'd never hit the T in Benito. I don't know, I think he'd find it fun. He's very whimsical like that with his speech. But I'm also just not that invested in doing a good Trump impression. I am invested, however, in people paying me when I do work. So I am streaming right now, which is a labor I'm doing. I'm performing, and it would be nice if I got paid for my work. I would really like that. So if anyone is enjoying the stream, if for 1 second you have enjoyed the stream, if it happened to you, whether you intended for it to happen or not, you found yourself suddenly going ha ha or hee hee or hoo hoo, or saying oh. You know, any of those things. Consider paying for the stream. Yeah. You know how. I've told you enough times by now. You know all about it. How markets could topple the global economy. If the AI bubble bursts, an unusual recession could follow. Okay, let's read this one. It's a very peculiar Economist analysis. It is worth saying this is about what if the AI bubble bursts, which it will. we would think, if ever you are to need The Economist, a magazine called The Economist, a publication that claims to be the definitive take on economics, then when there's about to be a massive financial crash, that's probably a good time to have The Economist handy, isn't it? If you're gonna have the rizzless warlock's hivemind for anything, probably when there's about to be a massive financial crash is it. So, let's read and see. If America's stock market crashes, it will be one of the most predicted financial implosions in history. Everyone from bank bosses to the IMF must be destroyed, has warned about the stratospheric valuations of America's tech companies. Central bankers are bracing for financial trouble. Investors who made their names betting against subprime mortgage bonds in 2007 to 2009 have resurfaced for another, quote, big short. At any sign of a wobble, such as a recent slight weekly fall in the Nasdaq index of tech stocks, speculation mounts that the market is on the precipice. And no wonder. The cyclically adjusted price-earnings ratio of the S&P 500 index of stocks. See, we're saying all the economy words, right? We're being very smart economists. We're saying all the things. Cyclically adjusted price-earnings ratio of the S&P 500 index, right? Half the chat's fallen asleep. Half the chat has fallen asleep right now. That's how serious we're taking this. It's Captain Sensible time. I've put on my economist hat, just like Nigel Farage, and it's time to seriously understand real economic science. The Arcane Moose, first time chatting apparently, although I thought you were chatting before, said, interesting that they're just agreeing AI is a bubble now. Yeah. Yeah, it's everywhere. Everyone's just in full agreement. It's fucking crazy. It's truly just like, it's become a point where I think, before I carry on with this, I just want to say, like, I think it's become a point where the gullibility of, I guess, like, the market itself is the main driving thing. And it's like, the relationship between credit and credibility has never been more apparent, and has become this, like, you know, it's tired even at this point to say capitalism is like Wile E. Coyote 10 steps off the edge of the cliff just about to look down. Like, it's been that way for so long that now it's about whether they can sell to everyone that capitalism can just walk on air. That it can just keep going with nothing sensible holding it together, no relationship to reality. Its main product is a bullshit machine that literally makes you psychotic. If you're lucky. Anyway. S&P 500 index of stocks. Propelled by the Magnificent Seven tech giants, has reached levels last seen during the dot-com boom. Investors are betting the vast spending on artificial intelligence, AI, will pay off. Yet the numbers are daunting. For companies to achieve a 10% return on the AI capex projected by 2030, they will collectively need $650 billion of annual AI revenues, equivalent to over $400 per year from every iPhone user, reckons JP Morgan Chase. A bank. Sorry, that just really tickled me. History shows such lofty expectations are often disappointed, at first, by new technologies, even if they go on to change the world. Yet although a market crash would surprise almost nobody, few have thought about its consequences. That is partly because the chances of a big fall in stock markets bringing about a broad financial crisis are, for now, slim. So this is where we get to the really bizarre takes. Unlike the late 2000s, when widespread leverage and complex financial engineering helped cause a debt-fueled bubble in subprime housing, today's AI euphoria has mostly been equity-financed. What's more, the real economy has shown in recent years that it can weather shocks from Europe's energy crisis to American tariffs remarkably well. Recessions are increasingly rare events. This is just complete fucking... Sorry, Mule's just said in the chat, The Economist, the publication for economy understanders, defining a well-known bank for its readers. Jesus. This is The Economist saying, oh, it's been fine, though. Shit things have happened that have made people's lives terrible. But they just keep paying us, the idiots, so it's fine. Like, recessions are increasingly rare. We've been in a non-stop cost of living escalation, or you could call it recession, where the real, like, money people have to spend and freedom in their daily lives has been less and less and less for like most of my life. For most of my life at this point. Like, recessions are increasingly rare. I think 2008 kind of just never ended. Like, what are you on about? Like, what are you on about? Still, it would be a mistake to think that the effect of big stock market losses would stop. Mule, that guy you're trying to show me, the who thinks he's an economist, that's this. The Economist is also this. It's just they're not trying to sound like they're just some guy. They're trying to sound like they're The Economist. But they're also just as... like, some of the shit he's saying is just the same. Anyway. Still, it would be a mistake to think the effect of big stock market losses would stop at the wallets of investors. The longer the boom goes on, the more opaque its financing becomes. Even without financial Armageddon, a dramatic stock market fall might at last topple a hitherto resilient world economy into a downturn. So all of this was to say, it might be fine. It just might be fine. And then we say, but on the other hand, the world economy might tank. The root of the vulnerability is the American consumer. Get your treats while you can, folks. Haley Snaily, welcome to the stream. It's so lovely to see you. Haley Snaily says, look, all the meaningful metrics are getting worse, but technically we're not in a recession because that's a very specific term. So that's fine. It's all fine because one metric is technically not happening that often. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like all the people talking about, like, is Trump technically a fascist? It's just like... How about you respond to the conversation everyone else is actually trying to have? Utterly ghoulish. Alright. The root of the vulnerability is the American consumer. Stocks account for 21% of the country's household wealth. So the average American household has 21% of its wealth in stocks, according to The Economist. If you say so. But a quarter as much, again, as the height of the dot-com boom. Assets related to AI are responsible for nearly half the increase in America's wealth over the past year. As households have become wealthier, they've grown more comfortable, saving less than they did before the COVID-19 pandemic, albeit not as little as during the subprime boom. A crash would put these trends into reverse. We calculate that a fall... I love this sentence. I read this one earlier, and I wanted to give it a little kiss because it's so stupid. We calculate that a fall in stocks... Just brace for the end of this. Like it's these last few words. We calculate that a fall in stocks comparable to the dot-com bust would reduce American households' net worth by 8%. Wintry Meat in chat saying, my brother in Christ, have you seen how much eggs cost? Yes, in America right now, it's literally day 2 of pathologic. And The Economist is saying, nah, bro, it'll be fine, just trust me. Unless it's terrible, so let's just kind of say nothing, I guess. When you flip a coin, it's always heads unless it's tails. So, it's one of those, really. Would reduce American households' net worth by 8% is so good to me. Like, it's just like, wow, that's good, liberal slop. American households' net worth. That could cause a big retrenchment in consumer spending. By one rule of thumb, the pullback would amount to 1.6% of GDP. By the way, if it was comparable to the dot-com bust, there are predictions that say that the AI bubble is 17 times the size of the dot-com bubble and 4 times the size of the 2008 financial crisis bubble. Okay, the subprime mortgage lending bubble. Enough to push America, where labor market is already suffering, into a recession. That's if it's the size of the dot-com bust there. That's what that is. 1.6% of GDP, enough to push America into a recession. The effect on the consumer would dwarf what is likely from any drying up of AI investment, much of which goes on chips imported from Taiwan. The shock and weaker American demand would spill over to low-growth Europe and deflationary China, compounding the blow to exporters from Donald Trump's tariffs. And because foreigners have 18 trillion, I see what they're saying, okay. $18 trillion worth of exposure to American stocks. They hold that they own $18 trillion worth of American stocks. I think is what they mean by that, but they're just using extra words because if the warlocks can convince you that there is real magic going on, then you'll just let them do it and never try to do it yourself. Ginger with Envy, hey, welcome to the stream, lovely to see you here, says, I don't think that this is considering how stratified stock ownership is. I'm sure if you include the people that have an incredible amount of their wealth tied in stocks, the average does not look like that, but it does not reflect the reality of a typical American citizen. Yeah, I think if they maybe tried doing an average American household only across the households where someone owns stocks, they would probably wind up with a very, very different number. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Once again, everyone, this is the last article we're reading today. If you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. I would really appreciate your donations and your help financially because it's gonna go bad. I don't want to spend it. I want to spend all the money right now before the price of eggs is 5,000. I want to be able to buy one single delicious egg. Anyway, subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. I'd really appreciate any support, and I really appreciate all support that I do receive. And if you want to support me regularly, please subscribe to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/SophieFromMars. Okay. Okay. There would be a mini wealth effect globally. The good news is that a global recession with its roots in the equity markets need not be deep, just as the downturn that followed the dot-com crash was shallow and avoided by many big economies. Importantly, the Federal Reserve has enough room to lower interest rates to boost demand, and some countries would respond with fiscal stimulus. Yet, a downturn would expose vulnerabilities in today's economic and geopolitical landscape by further weakening America's hegemony, undermining government budgets and worsening protectionist instincts. I feel like they're just using a lot of words to say stuff that people already kind of know about, like how this will go. Thank you so much, Hermeneutics, for the £2 tip and saying delicious egg. By the way, I'm playing Pathologic at the moment. It's very on my mind. I've been replaying. This is kind of crazy. I should have told you about this earlier because it's quite funny. But I've been trying to do a perfect run. No deaths. No deaths for me, no deaths for anybody else. Not even just my bound, everybody. Because I've never got the perfect ending before. And I've been fully rested in Pathologic. I'm getting like 8 hours a night. Like, I'm sleeping so well in Pathologic. I'm not sleeping that well in real life. None of this is driven by being mentally healthy right now. I'm extremely going through a moment right now. But in Pathologic, I've like cured everyone of the plague, and I have I've never in all the hours I've played it before, I've never had this many schmauders. Like I've used I think 5 schmauders so far in this run, and I just got so much health, so much food, all the food I could ever need. I'm sleeping so much. Like, it's completely crazy. Anyway, it's not a hard game. They just tell you that to make you play it. Right. Where are we? Without the AI boom, now this bit's great. Without the AI boom, the economy would be left looking as it did in the spring, threatened by tariffs, beleaguered institutions, and increasingly fractious politics. As we published this, America's longest ever government shutdown was only just coming to an end. So what they're saying there is, without the power of a successful tech sector, America is just capital F fucked. Like, double exclamation point, triple underline, fucked. In a recession, America would usually be a haven, but in these circumstances, and with America taking the worst growth downgrade, a rush to the dollar, which is down by 8% this year, would not be assured. So they're saying the dollar could get really fucked up. I mean, de-dollarization is already ongoing. It's something people, I think, should look a bit more into if they're trying to get a grasp of economics from a leftist perspective, like looking at understanding that the dollar being everywhere is the root of American imperialism. Reading what Lenin said about exporting currency and imperialism would be valuable, but then also understanding that we are like that the world is pulling away from using the dollar as global reserve is quite important. Anyway, although a weaker dollar would be a blessing for the rest of the world, he admitted, for which a pricier greenback tightens financial conditions, it would strengthen the idea that the American exceptionalism is not what it was. Bro, you don't fucking say. Like this one, that one. Okay. The risk to the dollar would be especially great given that 2026 could bring far greater political influence over the Federal Reserve. As our annual supplement, The World Ahead 2026, explains, that might be an interesting read for next stream. A recession would also put indebted governments everywhere to a stern fiscal test. Damn. They might have to resort to completely unthinkable measures like a planned economy and policies that help the working man be able to live and survive and be more productive. You know, a sort of society-ism, like focusing on like the social, like the people, the community, even like maybe some kind of like communityism might be what these economies and these governments resort to in order to get through this. Central banks would cut interest rates, easing the costs of serving the rich world's enormous debt pile, which is 110% of its GDP, but deficits would widen too, as welfare spending rose and tax receipts fell. In the most vulnerable economies, fiscal fears might cause long-term bond yields to stay put or even rise as central banks cut short-term rates, a dynamic that has occasionally been on display over the past 2 years. Oh, my voice is going out a little bit. I have been talking for nearly 4 hours. Where were we up to? Past 2 years. It is hard to imagine markets affording France or Britain, say, much space for stimulus. The final consequence would be for trade. Americans spending less would almost certainly reduce the trade deficit, which would please Mr. Trump. With markets in a bad way, the White House would also be less belligerent on trade, but the other global trade flashpoint, China's surplus in manufactured goods, would worsen. Already, European and Asian producers must compete with a glut of Chinese goods, which is growing as China exports less to America. A slowdown in America would cause that glut to swell further, sharpening the protectionist backlash. The world may be predicting an American stock market crash. That does not mean it is prepared for the consequences. Oh, threaten me with a good time. Thank you, Mr. Economist. Jeepers creepers. So we'll end the stream as we end every stream, by which I mean last stream, with a long round of meowing. No. Chat, what did you think of the article? Let me know your thoughts in chat. We're going to discuss and then we're going to wrap up. So, I mean, I think they're saying, without trying to say too clearly, like this is the mechanism of the really clear like mechanism of the Chinese century. Like China is already like overtaking by going at the kind of steady pace it's been going at. And now America is about to just like jam the stick in its spokes really hard and eat shit harder than any large economy has ever done before, because it put all its money Honey, did you spend the money I gave you on your food budget for the week? No. I put it all into AI. Just like, what gibberish is this, you know? How have they done this? They fucked up so bad. They just fucked it so bad. America was like a superpower. That's what we call it, right? Like it's some kind of like supernatural presence in the world. Like truly, Haley Snaily here says they're betting everything on nothing. Yeah, that's it, right? Like this is again like the Wile E. Coyote just like out over the edge of the cliff and just like trying to not look down, but it's like. I think also it's interesting and worth some discussion that like this idea of like the stock market could crash, but the regular economy, like the economy of like everyday like living, might like not notice as much as it did in 2008. Like, firstly, the people who have disposable income at the moment, like capital circulates or it dies, right? People need to be spending money on something for the money to move around, for there to be economy, in order for line to go up, in order for there to be economy at all. But the idea of these like two economies, like the stock market economy and the like everyday spending economy. Like, it's not an invalid idea. Like, these are two, like, you know, distinct things to some degree. They're also the same thing. It's very, I'm trying to remember the joke my wife made earlier. She said, the alter egos, Dr. Footsie and Mr. Lives. By day, by day, Mr. Lives is a mild-mannered family man. A husband, a father, 2.5 kids. Picket fence, and then he drinks his potion. His clothes transform. He's wearing suddenly a cheap suit. He logs onto eToro to look at his stonks. But it's just like there is some idea, you know, some validity to this idea of these like being two separate things. But it's just like if most of the people who have any money to spend, which is not many people now, can suddenly not afford anything. Like their wealth disappears, they're in crisis, their savings are gone. All my apes gone. Like I don't see like their kind of reassurance paragraph where they're a bit like it might be fine, you know? Like it might be fine because it might be that the normal people economy just isn't really touched by this. They say in the same article, like, there has been, you know, Europe's energy crisis, Trump's tariffs, like, the normal people economy, the not money pervert, not money toucher freak economy, the price of eggs economy, is fucked. Like, everyone knows it's completely fucked. And, like, it's been bizarre and almost miraculous in a horrifying way to see how the AI bubble and the American tech sector and the stock market seem to be like functioning like completely unaware of how fucked everything, unaware of the fact that an egg costs $5,000. To them, it's just nothing. And like, so as far as they are separate, it's like the everyday, the price of eggs economy is fucked, and the stock market is the part that's going well. If it isn't going well, if that isn't going well, it's just everything that's just completely fucked. And like, at that point as well, it's worth saying that like, the fictitious capital, the world of fictitious capital, the stonk world, like, the way value is produced there is still based on there being jobs, futures, predictions that things will go up and get better. And like, things have just been really shit for like everybody else for a while now. The idea that things are going to get better, again, without some kind of socialist intervention, like massive infrastructure renewal, massive public spending, just like things to improve people's basic quality of life and to create jobs in public programs. Like, without that, like, I don't see a way that it's going to change back around again. Ginger with Envy says, like, Yesm, it is truly crazy they've done this, but from their perspective, they couldn't see any reason not to do it. They couldn't imagine the risks because the risk was unthinkable to them. Yeah, I think that's really worth saying, because I think that, like, that's a way I think about what's going on with the social organism of America and its, like, material component, not so much base per se, because I don't want to confuse this with, like, the base from the the like Gramscian concept, but like the economic component of it, like the economy they're always referring to. Put it in my hand, show me the economy. It must keep going because this is, like, people keep on saying, like, this is the American century of humiliation. This is the Chinese century. This is Uncle Sam's last dance. Like, it's so fucked. And, like, to answer someone in chat who said, like, chat, are we cooked? Like, no, we just need socialism. It's just, I said In the World Is Not Ending 2 years ago now, and it's just become more and more true. Like, it's not socialism or barbarism. It's just barbarism until we get socialism. And that's what we're in now. It's just, like relentless fucking cruelty until we get socialism. But luckily, socialism will catch on. Like, will be a thing that, like, people kind of will be a sticky social organism, right? Will be like, people are going to be in it and then stay in it, and then more people who come into it are going to stay in it, right? Whereas, like, fascism is this thing that people can like, they want to seek anonymity. They don't want to be the guy in charge. They want to idolize the guy in charge. And only at a certain level of, like, power and reward from it will they want to be, like, seen doing it, because they want to be able to abandon it when they can. And, like, still there are challenges. There are very serious challenges, right? Like, a lot of imperial core leftists are very, like, abstractly educated, not in touch properly with the working class. A lot of them are not anti-imperialist, which is to say that they're liberals and not really, like, don't really have a valuable leftist analysis. A lot of them want to, like, gatekeep the left as being, like, a special place for them and their friends to all have the right ideas together and not really touch the real world. There are lots of challenges, right? There are seriously lots of challenges where people, like, are not prepared for properly organizing with the working class. But the thing about if we have a zoomed out analysis of this stuff, I think it's just fair to say a lot of those challenges will be overcome by those people just being, like, superseded. Like, people who are just, like, people who are really patting themselves on the back for being, like, on it, good stand-up leftists who are just there every day doing the thing, but what they're doing is just kind of going to a meeting about a meeting about a meeting. Like, just going to some, like, relatively comfy, like, office space. I'm thinking of one in London that I complain about a lot. Where, like, they hang out with a bunch of other leftists who are also in orgs. Maybe some of them have paid roles. It's very exciting for them. if people who can't overcome those problems will get overtaken, and they'll be really shocked that they, despite having showed up to do the revolution every day as their job, the revolution's been happening without them. They'll either realize they need to change their attitudes radically and learn how to like actually organize among poor people, or realize that like building a mass movement is about like like appealing to people. Anyway, all that to say, there are still problems, but ultimately, like, I think that socialism has this like this stickiness to it, where like when people say, like, with people who write like why I left the left pieces, everyone's always just like, well, you didn't, right? Because you weren't leftist to begin with. Like, you kind of just can't leave the left in that way. And it's just very true. Like, they work so hard to stop people from ever finding out basic truths that lead people to being a leftist, because it's sticky like that. Like, you're going to be a leftist and then you're just going to be a leftist from then on. Now, you might be the kind of leftist who's, you know, believes the right things but isn't doing anything. But ultimately, you still will be like, I want there to be socialism. That's the thing I want. It's just that the wanting might be couched in like a kind of privileged, depressive paralyzation. Anyway, we're going to wrap up the stream. I'm going to say one more time, if you're enjoying the stream, consider paying for the stream. You can do it right there on the tip link. If you want to give me a final little tip, it would be nice. I would appreciate it. VOD watchers, I love you so much. Thank you. Chatters, bye. No. I wanted to say again, on Sunday at 8 p.m. UK time at twitch.tv/redplanetlive, also on the Red Planet YouTube channel if you search for it, me and Mule and Tim from Conquest of Dread will be doing Red Planet, our weekly show where we talk about the news, what's going on in the world, revolution, the collapse of capitalism, what organizing needs to be done, and what organizing is being done, and how people can contribute it and be involved in it and help. So please tune into that. It's a really good show, and I want more people to watch it. So please tune in. So I'll see you there. All right, everyone. Big agree. We're all gonna see each other there. Okay, cool. And hope everyone has a wonderful night. Thank you so much, and see you on Sunday.